some sort of response is coming. We have a statement which I can read to you just briefly saying Iran's attack is a severe and dangerous escalation according to the IDF, and there will be consequences. We will respond wherever, whenever and however we choose in accordance with the directive of the government of Israel. A clear sign there that Israel does plan to respond directly against Iran for this ballistic missile attack, and that of course then throws open the very concerning question around whether this causes a wider war right across West Asia. In Tel Aviv, Trent Murray, NDTV.
My colleague Mohammad Ghazali is also joining me. Ghazali, a very good morning to you. Bring us up to the speed how damaging this attack by Iran on Israel was. We'll try and reconnect with Mohammad Ghazali. He has been covering this issue and knows a thing about this, what happened after Iran launched a missile attack on Israel. Remember, almost 200 missiles were targeted on Israel by Iran. This as they vowed attack and revenge on Israel after they killed Hezbollah commanders. My colleague Mohammad Ghazali is back with us. Ghazali, tell us and bring us up to the speed how damaging this attack was by Iran on Israel. With our colleague Mohammad Ghazali, but we'll try and reconnect with him. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what the world has to say about this Iran and Israel attack and conflict that is emerging in the Middle East. UK condemns Iran's attack on Israel. Russia even in fact went on and said Biden's complete failure in Middle East has resulted in this attack. Donald Trump has also reacted and said that look at the world today, look at the missiles flying right now in the Middle East. This is what has happened as the US president is to be blamed. That's what the competitor had to say. Now, after this, Germany has also demanded that Iran end its missile attack on Israel. Now, after this, the world has reacted. The former Israeli Prime Minister has also questioned the United Nations, saying that they should now condemn Iran for its attack. Meanwhile, Israel has vowed retaliation and said that it will not hesitate, but it will decide its own time and place where and when to retaliate to this unprecedented attack by Iran on Israel. There were bright flashes in the sky and lots of missiles were launched by Iran. Iron Dome, which intercepted several missiles, was at stretch after almost 200 missiles were fired from Iran's side. Now, US also helped in this for Israel as they stood by and said that Israel has the right to defend itself and attack again. Let's listen into what Biden had to say about this Israel and Iran conflict. Listen in.
At my direction, the United States military actively supported the defense of Israel, and we're still assessing the impact. But based on what we know now, the attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective. And this is testament to Israeli military capability and the U.S. military. It's also a testament to intensive planning between the United States and Israel to anticipate and defend against the brazen attack we expected. Make no mistake, the United States is fully supportive of Israel.
איראן עשתה הערב טעות גדולה, והיא תשלם על כך. המשטר באיראן לא מבין את נחישותנו להגן על עצמנו ואת נחישותנו לגמול לאויבינו, אלה שלא מבינים זאת. הם יבינו. נעמוד בכלל שקבענו. מי שתוקף אותנו, אנחנו תוקפים אותו. זה נכון בכל מקום כשאנחנו נלחמים בציר הרשע. זה נכון ליהודה ושומרון, זה נכון לעזה, ללבנון, לתימן, לסוריה, וזה נכון גם לאיראן. אנחנו נלחמים בציר הרשע.
Now let's shift our attention to Karnataka, where the heat on Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah continues to rise as the Enforcement Directorate has summoned the Karnataka Chief Minister for tomorrow for questioning in the alleged Mysuru Urban Development Authority land scam. Now, the heat on Karnataka Chief Minister has been rising. Remember, Karnataka Chief Minister's wife also offered to return all the 14 sites that were allotted to her. The sale deed of these sites were cancelled and these will not be allotted till the investigation is on, as the Muda has now accepted all the sites that were offered by the Karnataka Chief Minister's wife. Meanwhile, even Lokayukta team has begun its probe. They also visited one of these sites. The Lokayukta police began its investigation against Karnataka Chief Minister in the alleged Muda scam by conducting a site inspection yesterday, and ED will now tomorrow question Karnataka Chief Minister. ED will be questioning the activist as well in this case. My colleague Pratibha Raman has more details. Take a look.
Snehamai Krishna, he is the man who took Siddaramaiah to court as well with respect to the Muda case, and he has now knocked on the doors of the ED with respect to registering a money laundering case. And taking that into account, the ED today has registered the case under PMLA, that is the Money Laundering Act, and they have also accordingly mentioned in the summons issued to Snehamai Krishna that his in-person attendance would be required to give evidence and for the production of records in connection with the investigation for proceeding under PMLA in the above-mentioned case. And that is exactly how the procedural protocol would take place as far as the investigation is concerned. The Lokayukta did the same, issuing summons to Snehamai Krishna with respect to producing documents and other evidences, and that's exactly what's happening with the ED as well. When and how they would be issuing summons to Siddaramaiah is again something that needs to be closely watched. But as far as this ED registration of case is concerned, a definite setback for Siddaramaiah, who did get on with the media today to talk about how there has been no financial transaction and he has absolutely no idea as to why this case has come about in terms of money laundering. But he has stood firm on his ground of not resigning and that he would be fighting this both legally as well as politically. A lot of twists as far as the Muda case is concerned. Two different cases, one with respect to money laundering, the other with respect to that case. All eyes are on how he would be fighting this investigation.
And Bollywood's well-known actor and Shiv Sena leader Govinda was hospitalized yesterday morning after accidentally shooting himself in the leg with his licensed weapon. After surgery to extract the bullet, he shared a message to his fans and thanked them for their wishes and also informed the people that he is fine. Take a look at our report.
Actor Govinda was reportedly preparing to leave his Juhu home, the Golden Beach, early today when his licensed gun reportedly fell accidentally and fired a bullet that hit his leg. Govinda was immediately shifted to Mumbai's Critic Care Hospital, where doctors removed the bullet and said his condition was stable.
तो जैसे हम वो आए और ये लाके सबसे पहले हम लोगों ने ड्रेसिंग करके उनकी ब्लीडिंग रोकी, उसके बाद में उनका एक्सरे हुआ और फिर हमने ऑपरेशन थिएटर में उनको ऑपरेट किया और उनकी बुलेट निकाली. उनके बराबर उपचार होना चाहिए जो हो रहा है और उनको सलाह देंगे कि वो रेस्ट करें.
Govinda himself released an audio and thanked his fans.
नमस्कार, प्रणाम. मैं हूँ गोविंदा. आप सब लोगों के आशीर्वाद और माँ बाप का आशीर्वाद और गुरु की कृपा की वजह से गोली लगी थी पर वो निकाल दी गई है. मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ.
स्थिति पहले से बहुत ठीक है और आशा करते हैं 2-3 दिन में स्थिति और ठीक हो जाएगी उनकी. गोविंदा जी के फैंस को मैं नमन करता हूँ.
आप सभी लोगों के पूरे देश विदेश पूरी दुनिया का जितने फैंस हैं उन लोगों का आशीर्वाद गोविंदा जी के साथ है.
Chief Minister Eknath Shinde spoke over phone to Govinda, who had joined the Shiv Sena in April, and wished him a speedy recovery.
Security has been tightened at the hospital as Govinda's family members, politicians well-wishers and Bollywood stars have started to make a beeline at the hospital. The incident has once again drawn attention and security concerns over the issuance of licensed weapons. From Mumbai with video journalist Kalpesh, me Sujata Dwivedi, Prashant Sisodia and Sunil Singh reporting from Mumbai.
Now in the Hindenburg issue, as per sources, SEBI will pass an order on the issue. Hindenburg has not answered to the show cause notice that was issued to it. As per sources now, SEBI will pass order after hearing all the parties in the case. Adjudication to be initiated after the SEBI's order. My colleague has more details.
There is this important update in the Hindenburg research matter. Market regulator SEBI is progressing with its ongoing probe and the proceeding. What we are picking up from our SEBI officials is that the regulator is collating the data and even seeking response from the all parties involved, including the Hindenburg research. However, Hindenburg has clearly stated to the regulator that they are not going to respond to show cause notice issued by the regulator in July. Remember, in July, SEBI has shot show cause notice to Hindenburg Research, Mark Kingdon and 4 others for colluding for using non-public information to build short position against Adani Group of companies. That this whole report of Hindenburg has created panic among investors, which has also led to, wiping out the whole market value of about 12 trillion. So SEBI is of view that first they are going to sort of, have clear-cut evidence against all these entities, and accordingly they will reach to the finality and pass the order. And once the order has been passed, there are chances that the regulator will initiate the adjudication proceeding, and accordingly the matter will be heard and follow the due course, and the entities could be penalized.
And with that, we're slipping into a very short break.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Iran pounds Israel with almost 200 missiles in a response of killing Hezbollah commanders, warns other countries of consequences if they join hands with Israel. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Iran will pay for launching barrage of missiles on Tel Aviv and other areas. Netanyahu also vowed strongest retaliation. Enforcement Directorate summons Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah tomorrow for questioning in connection with the alleged Mysuru Urban Development Authority land scam. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to participate in the Swachh Bharat Divas 2024 on October 2, commemorating the 10th anniversary of the Swachh Bharat mission. The theme this year is Swabhav Swachhta, Sanskar Swachhta.
Amity has been
for every news from every part of the country. Download कीजिए NDTV ऐप. सिर्फ एक ऐप जो आपको बताता है क्या हो रहा है in the world of business, politics, sports and entertainment. देखना ना भूलें हमारी मूवी युद्रा in the theatre. Read all about Yudra on the NDTV app. So download now.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your life.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of power, Delhi,
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show.
Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day. Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always bustling. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet.
Breaking news coming in. Dera Sacha Sauda chief and rape convict Ram Rahim is all set to walk out of jail again as he gets 20-day parole. This comes ahead of Haryana polls which are scheduled on October 5. Remember, this is the 15th parole for convicted Dera Sacha Sauda chief. My colleague Gurpreet Chinna is also joining me on the phone line for more details. Gurpreet, I beg your pardon, is joining me live. Gurpreet, good morning to you. Congress had already issued concerns regarding this. They had written a letter to Election Commission saying that he should not be given parole, but now he is all set to come out as the parole has been granted, which is for 20 days. Give us more details.
Well, yes, of course. So we have seen early in the morning he has already been released from Snaria jail from Rohtak. What we have learned, under a heavy security, he has been released from the jail, and we have seen so many times it has become one of the major political issue. This time again, parole of Gurmeet Ramrim has become one of the major political issue in the state of Haryana. As we have seen, the Congress party has already written very vocally to the Election Commission saying that he should not be released at this point of time. He will affect the vote turnout in the state of Haryana, and specifically he will also manipulate the vote bank in the various locations of Haryana. We have seen they had already raised this question before the Election Commission, but despite raising by the Congress, it seems they did not consider all these points which were being raised by the Congress party, and finally they have taken decision. They had granted parole, and today finally early in the morning he has already been released. So let's see that what type of impact he is going to leave. But as we all know, and even the Congress party, they have already highlighted he has a mass follower in the state of Haryana, not only in the state of Haryana, even in Rajasthan and other nearby states also. So they feel it will leave a lot of impact on the voters' mind, and that was the core concern of the Congress party. And earlier also, so many times we have seen a lot of questions were being raised over the government, specifically especially for the BJP party. Whenever he was released, there were the polls, whether it's the Panchayat poll, Jila Parishad poll, and such type of polls were the main core issue of the opposition party. They were putting a question mark over the timing of the poll, and this time again the Congress party has put a lot of question, and they had also requested and demanded to the election commission that
Absolutely, Gurpreet. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing those details. Thank you. Now shifting our focus to today, which is India is celebrating Gandhi Jayanti on October 2nd. Tributes are pouring in for Father of the Nation. In fact, leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi paid his respect by visiting Rajghat. Delhi Chief Minister Atishi also visited Rajghat and paid tribute to Mahatma Gandhi. Now, NDTV and it all presents Banega Swasth India Season 11. This is India's longest running health campaign on TV. It focuses on one world hygiene, and the motto is Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, taking India to the world. The event also focuses on local solutions with a global impact. The event will start at 9 a.m. today.
For every news from every part of the country, डाउनलोड कीजिए NDTV ऐप। सिर्फ एक ऐप जो आपको बताता है क्या हो रहा है इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ बिजनेस, पॉलिटिक्स, स्पोर्ट्स एंड एंटरटेनमेंट। देखना ना भूलें हमारी मूवी युद्रा इन द थिएटर। Read all about Yudra on the NDTV app. So download now.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India, one world hygiene.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your life.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of power, Delhi,
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show. Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
You are watching The World 24/7 on the NDTV network.
I'm Parmeshwar Bava. Let's begin with the headlines we're tracking at the moment. Iran launched nearly 200 missiles at Israel on Tuesday, an attack that resulted in limited damage and one casualty, but further raised the temperature in the Middle East. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu has said Iran made a big mistake with the missile attack. Oil prices rose on Wednesday on fears conflict in the Middle East could turn into a wider war and disrupt oil supply from the key producing region after Iran fired ballistic missiles at Israel. In the US, Democratic vice presidential nominee Tim Walz and Republican J.D. Vance are debating each other in New York City. It's the biggest face-off of their political careers. India has been a trusted partner in Jamaica's development journey, and it is ready to share expertise in a range of areas, including digital public infrastructure, biofuel innovation, and help with the Caribbean nation, Prime Minister Modi said after holding wide-ranging talks with the Jamaican Prime Minister, Andrew Holness. Lieutenant Commander Rupa A. from Puducherry and Lieutenant Commander Dilna K. from Calicut of the Indian Navy are embarking on a grueling sailing expedition around the globe that will see them navigating around 40,000 kilometers over 8 months, braving high seas, extreme weather conditions, and 3 Great Capes. Justin Trudeau, Canada's Prime Minister, has survived a second parliamentary confidence motion in less than a week after opposition parties vowed to keep his minority Liberal government alive for now. South Korea showcased a ballistic missile capable of carrying an 8-ton warhead and featured a flypast of a US bomber at military parades in Seoul, a show of force now held annually to signal readiness to respond to North Korean threats. Artificial intelligence-driven demand for electricity is fueling a grid investment boom in Asia. Renewable energy output is growing enormously every year. In fact, nearly a third of the global electricity supply came from clean sources in 2023. Well, our big focus, Iran launched nearly 200 missiles at Israel on Tuesday, an attack that resulted in limited damage and one casualty, but further raised the temperature in the Middle East. Israel intercepted many of the missiles, and Prime Minister Netanyahu said Iran made a mistake and will pay for it. Iran's attack, though, follows weeks of Israeli offensive against the Iran-backed Hezbollah, marked most recently by a limited ground invasion into Lebanon and the assassination of the group's leader. As far as the reactions from around the globe are concerned, well, the United Kingdom has condemned Iran's attack on Israel. Biden, meanwhile, has said there's a complete failure playing out in the Middle East. Germany has demanded that Iran end its missile attack on Israel, expressing fears that the escalation in the fighting could fuel further conflict. In fact, that is a fear many share currently. Listen in to what the Israeli Prime Minister had to say, followed by the US President's reaction.
איראן עשתה הערב טעות גדולה, והיא תשלם על כך. המשטר באיראן לא מבין את נחישותנו להגן על עצמנו, ואת נחישותנו לגמול לאויבינו, אלה שלא מבינים זאת. הם יבינו. נעמוד בכלל שקבענו. מי שתוקף אותנו, אנחנו תוקפים אותו. זה נכון בכל מקום כשאנחנו נלחמים בציר הרשע. זה נכון ליהודה ושומרון, זה נכון לעזה, ללבנון, לתימן, לסוריה, וזה נכון גם לאיראן. אנחנו נלחמים בציר הרשע.
At my direction, the United States military actively supported the defense of Israel, and we're still assessing the impact. But based on what we know now, the attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective. And this is testament to Israeli military capability and the U.S. military. It's also a testament to intensive planning between the United States and Israel to anticipate and defend against the brazen attack we expected. Make no mistake, the United States is fully supportive of Israel.
There's around 180 ballistic missiles were fired from Iran towards Israel during this major wave of attacks. We know that emergency service alerts were sent out very quickly to people's mobile phones, telling them to get into their shelter and to remain there, as 3 or 4 major waves of attacks took place, with multiple messages coming up on people's phones informing them of the locations. The Israeli Defense Force says there were some impacts, including here in Tel Aviv, where we saw flashes of light as some of those missiles landed, and also large explosions ringing out across the city. But the latest information we have is that there were no Israeli casualties in all of this, and they are putting that down to the fact that around 10 million people across this country heeded that warning and remained in the shelter as this attack took place. We are also hearing from the United States that they worked closely with their Israeli counterparts to try and intercept as many of these missiles as they could. We understand 2 US warships took part, as well as fighter jets in the sky, intercepting them as they arrived. Right now, the big question remains around what will happen next. Certainly many of the signals that we are hearing out of the Israeli Defense Force is that some sort of response is coming. We have a statement which I can read to you just briefly, saying Iran's attack is a severe and dangerous escalation, according to the IDF, and there will be consequences. We will respond wherever, whenever, and however we choose, in accordance with the directive of the government of Israel. A clear sign there that Israel does plan to respond directly against Iran for this ballistic missile attack. And that, of course, then throws open the very concerning question around whether this causes a wider war right across West Asia. In Tel Aviv, Trent Murray, NDTV.
Well, I must also inform you that the United States fired about a dozen interceptors at Tuesday's barrage of Iranian ballistic missiles fired at Israel. This is what the Pentagon has said. In fact, Joe Biden said the US actively supported Israel's defense at his direction. He said he spent the entire morning in the Situation Room at the White House for handling serious national security issues. But the Israeli military said about 180 missiles were fired at Israel, most of which were intercepted. Well, for further clarity, we have with us Iran analyst Reza Khanzadeh joining us, who's also a Middle East expert. Thanks so much, Reza, for making time for us as always. At this point, is it undeniable that allies of Israel in Washington are advocating for a muscular response to the attacks, and that the strike will serve to raise, not lower, the temperature in the Middle East as fears of a wider regional war mount?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I think your assessment is accurate. There are plenty of players and actors within Washington, D.C. that want to see an escalation between Israel and Iran. The amount of individuals or parties, if you will, that would rather see diplomacy play out and would rather see de-escalation play out, fare quite a same number, but they don't have the strength as their counterparts in DC does. And what that is going to lead to is just a continued tit for tat, a continued escalation, and Iran and Israel will essentially speak the same language in the sense of saying this is self-defense, this is going to be a counter to a foreign entity attacking us, we must defend our homeland, and appeasing to their domestic base, but also their foreign allies. So for Israel, for example, it would be obviously the United States, and for Iran, it would be their axis of the axis of resistance, so to speak. But for the time being, and there's still a lot unknown, but for the time being, it does look like this is going to escalate to a much more severe tit for tat between the two countries, and it could draw in other regional actors as well. Because unfortunately, at the moment, there doesn't seem to be any calm heads at the table right now when it comes to decisions as far as retaliation.
Reza, a former US State Department spokesperson has said on record that Iran responded emotionally rather than strategically. Do you agree, and can we now expect a muscular response from Israel within the next few days?
Well, to answer the first part, I don't agree with that assessment. I don't believe it was emotional because the last time that Iran countered or responded to an Israeli attack was back in April. So that was months ago, and since then there's been breaches of Iran's national security by Israel and other actors as well, and Iran has not retaliated for the sole purpose because they know that this is going to escalate fairly quickly, especially with Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu essentially wanting this escalation. Yes. For years, if not decades, Netanyahu has been trying to trick Iran into a more direct and, if not regional war, and also wanting to draw in the United States. Now, as far as the second part of your question, Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu has publicly stated that there will be a retaliation at the time and place of their choosing, which is something they've always said in the past, and they have acted on it. Case in point was in April. Now they're saying it's going to be much stronger, or as you said it, more muscular, which I do not doubt. As far as the military analysts that I've spoken with, that does seem to be the case. Now the only question is, when will that be? That still remains to be seen. But like I said before, if and or when Israel does strike Iran, then Iran will have to respond, and then that's just going to be a continued back and forth between the two countries until it does escalate to a point of no return, unless by some miracle, really the only actor that can stop this is the United States, and that's by placing a bit more restrictions on Israel, because at this point, Israel, ever since October of 2023, Israel has had a blank check, and the United States, or in particular, Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, has turned a blind eye to all the atrocities that Israel has done in Gaza, in the West Bank, and now as we look towards Lebanon. So really, it's up to the United States, Washington, D.C., and unfortunately, they're not going to do anything because they're in the middle of a presidential election season.
But it is
and
factoring as a
they
huge
don't.
topic. In fact, even at the vice presidential debate, the opening topic was the Middle East. Meanwhile, analysts are warning that for Israel, this could be an opportunity to hit Iran in ways that it was never able to until now. But thank you so much, Reza, as always, for making time for us and joining us with your views. We also have with us currently Alan Sorensen joining us from northern Israel. Alan, what is the situation where you are currently?
No, I'm now in the northern part of Israel, actually at a point where soldiers are assembling or gathering to be taken to the northern border in order to take part in this land invasion of southern parts of Lebanon. And while driving here, Israel was attacked from Iran, and what I saw I saw a lot of missiles in the air being shot down, some of them being shot down, some of them flying over Israel. And at that time, in the end, I ended up here, entering this shelter behind me. I was stuck with I entered the shelter with around 20 Israeli soldiers and civilians, and we heard loud explosions over all this area. And before that, I was taken by surprise by the attack before I came here, and I had to lie down next to the road. And I saw a lot of other Israelis lying down as well because they were taken by surprise. This was a very comprehensive Iranian attack that came a lot faster than the previous Iranian attack in April. Because at this time, missiles, long-range missiles were fired at Israel, and not drones and missiles. Drones take a longer time to reach their aim, but this time it was missiles, and they reached Israel within a matter of minutes.
Well, Alan, please stay safe. But having warned of severe consequences for Iran over any direct military attack on Israel, Washington is now being pressed on what happens next. Was Israel expecting this attack from Iran, given reports were suggesting US intelligence warned Israel of an imminent attack?
During this day, yes. I started hearing rumors around midday, around noontime, that something would be happening. But I didn't know what. And then later on in the afternoon, some American outlets, they started talking about a possible Iranian attack. And after that, the Israeli army spokesperson, Daniel Hagari, he himself went on live TV and said that Israel expected an attack from Iran. And that is what happened later on this evening. So Israel was prepared, and Israel's allies, especially the United States, were prepared as well. And it seems that most of the around 200 missiles that were fired from Iran on Israel were either shot down or they didn't hit their targets. But I must say that some rockets or some missiles, they actually inflicted damage in the area of Tel Aviv, also in an area in southern Israel. And the latest I hear is that a Palestinian have died in the city of Jericho near the Dead Sea, in the northern part of the Dead Sea, because of fragments that fell down from either from the missile or some of the missiles that shot the Israeli missiles that are shooting down the Iranian missiles. He was actually killed, this Palestinian, in Jericho from the fragments falling down from this missile.
Right. Meanwhile, Alan, we are hearing of celebrations breaking out on the streets of Tehran after Iran's missile barrage against Israel. In fact, Iran's UN ambassador in New York has just justified his country's missile attack, saying it acted in self-defense. We have heard this before, but Mr. Netanyahu has vowed to make Iran pay. How might Israel retaliate? What are you picking up on currently?
No, I see Israel going all out and hitting back. I don't know when they will hit back on Iran, but I definitely think that they will hit back. And they, according to Israeli politicians and also the army spokesman, Israel will retaliate on Iran. But what they will hit, we don't know. Regarding the land offensive or the land invasion, ground invasion of the southern part of Lebanon, I think Israel has been cautious from the beginning, and they are moving in step by step, not in huge numbers of soldiers, because they don't want mass casualties on their own side.
Right.
But from what I see tonight, I think that what we have seen today is just the beginning, because Israel is assembling a huge number of reserve soldiers. Between 100 and 200,000 reserve soldiers has been called in. And while I was driving from the Jerusalem area to this northern part of Israel, there were huge queues on the highway. Mostly, some of them were civilians, of course, but many of the cars were either parents carrying their sons to the north in order to let them assemble here so they can be taken to the border and eventually be sent into Lebanon. So there's a huge mass of soldiers being beefed up here along the border with Lebanon, and they expect in the coming few days to be actively fighting inside Lebanon.
Well, Alan, thank you so much for joining us with that update. Do stay safe. We will, of course, revert to you for regular updates from northern Israel. Meanwhile, oil prices surged after Iran fired ballistic missiles against Israel, sparking fears of a wider conflict in the Middle East that could disrupt oil supplies. Brent crude, a key benchmark for oil prices internationally, rose more than 1% to $74.40 a barrel. Well, news and updates continue in a moment right after this very short break. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity. Energize our government, our environment, our society, and ourselves. Everyone, everywhere, every day. Banega Swasth India. One world hygiene.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai. India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your life.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of power, Delhi,
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show. Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections.
Welcome back to the US now, where 20 minutes into the vice presidential debate, the focus was on differences in issues and policy rather than personal attacks. But without Trump on the stage, many argue the debate is currently devoid of major fireworks. But perhaps it was nerves, perhaps he didn't quite master the facts, but Tim Walz stumbled on the first question, which focused on the conflict in the Middle East. But the head-to-head also turned to one of the most hot-button topics of the 2024 presidential election in the US, which is immigration. For the latest, let's go across to Nick Harper, who joins us live. Nick, we're hearing that the stakes are considered higher than normal at a vice presidential debate. Take us through the key takeaways from the debate so far, and whose performance has been considered stronger as we speak?
Yeah, on that first point, it's certainly being billed as something that could be more consequential than usual, largely because the opinion polls are so incredibly tight. Just 5 weeks out from the election, there is really only a percentage point separating Donald Trump and Kamala Harris in many of those swing states. He leads in some, she leads in the other. And this is also perhaps the last big set piece for both parties, really the last opportunity that voters will get to see the campaigns and hear from the people who are the vice presidential picks. There is not a second presidential debate in the works. There's only been one so far, and there's only one vice presidential debate on the card. So potentially no other big matchup in the next 5 weeks. So the thinking is that there will be millions of people currently watching this debate. There's still about another 4 or 5 minutes left to run on it, but already we've heard plenty of topics talking about the Iran attack on Israel earlier today, but also focusing on more domestic issues like the economy, abortion, and immigration. Really, so far, in many ways, J.D. Vance, the Republican, the running mate of Donald Trump, has seemed more at ease. He's been able to go on the attack, while Tim Walz has been largely on the defensive, having to defend Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's administration over the last 3.5 years. He hasn't seemed quite as at ease, and he's had some moments where he has become quite hot-headed, perhaps not keeping his cool as much as J.D. Vance has done. However, he has dug into policy much more than J.D. Vance, who so far has made a whole range of rather sweeping statements. A couple of times he's even been fact-checked by the moderators who, in advance of this debate, said that they would not do so. But certainly a whole range of topics that they've managed to get through so far tonight.
Well, Nick, as always, thanks so much for joining us with the latest lowdown from Ground Zero. We will, of course, revert to you for regular updates. With that, we're slipping into a very short break. Thank you so much for investing your time in watching this edition of The World 24/7. We'll keep tracking the latest updates for you. Do stay tuned.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps.
And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your life.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of power, Delhi,
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show. Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code, and driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. "10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones.
Good morning and welcome. You're watching The Breakfast Show. I'm Vedant Agarwal. Well, coming up at 9 o'clock on NDTV, India's longest running health campaign, Banega Swasth India, with India's top stars. This is India marks the Gandhi Jayanti. So, well, stay tuned for that. But first, on The Breakfast Show, we have a lot lined up. Radhika is joining us from the Mumbai studios. So, Radhika, from, of course, the real estate growth in Mumbai to what's happening in Israel, we have a whole lot lined up this morning.
Absolutely, Vedant. A very good morning to you and to everyone watching The Breakfast Show. From Iran's offensive against Israel to latest health updates on Govinda, actor Govinda, we have a whole host of updates. But first, the headlines. Fears of a full-scale war in West Asia with Iran's unprecedented missile attack on Israel. A barrage of missiles directed to Tel Aviv has triggered fears of an all-out war, which now seems inevitable.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says Iran will pay after the missile attack. This is Israel says it's still assessing the damage of the attack.
For the 15th time since being jailed, rape convict Dera Chief Gurmeet Ram Rahim has walked out of jail, as always right ahead of crucial polls, this time in Haryana.
The central agency tightening its nose around Karnataka Chief Minister, with the ED issuing summons to Siddaramaiah in the alleged Muda land scam.
Actor Govinda is still in hospital after he accidentally fired at himself. The actor is out of danger.
The real estate sector in Mumbai is growing faster than ever before. An NDTV special report. What's fueling this surge in the Millennium City?
No.
And our lead story on The Breakfast Show. Well, West Asia has been pushed to the precipice once again. Iran's missile attack at Israel has triggered fears of a full-scale war. In an unprecedented escalation, an all-out war seems imminent now, with Israel vowing retaliation as well. This after Iran fired a barrage of missiles at Israel, nearly 200 of them, in its attempt to send a message to Tel Aviv in the aftermath of the killings of the Hamas and Hezbollah chiefs. Now, while Israel was able to block out some of the missiles, there were some that hit regions across the north and south of the country. This has certainly been the sharpest escalation in tensions in West Asia since the start of the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza nearly a year ago now. Now, Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who is currently sheltered in a safe house at an undisclosed location, was the one who reportedly gave the green signal for the missile attack on Israel. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden, Radhika, has also promised full support for Israel.
That's right. In fact, Vedant, US President Joe Biden vowed full support for Israel and indicating that military discussions were underway to determine an appropriate response. In fact, Biden assuring that the US military would assist in Israel's defense and intercept any further Iranian missile strikes. Asked about the scope of United States involvement, Biden there, Vedant, commenting that discussions on a joint response were active and ongoing.
Absolutely, but what are really the consequences of this war? Can any diplomatic effort save West Asia now? What it means for our side of the world? All of that and more will be decoded on The Breakfast Show. But first, let's look at the reactions that have come in.
איראן עשתה הערב טעות גדולה, והיא תשלם על כך. המשטר באיראן לא מבין את נחישותנו להגן על עצמנו, ואת נחישותנו לגמול לאויבינו. אלה שלא מבינים זאת, הם יבינו. נעמוד בכלל שקבענו. מי שתוקף אותנו, אנחנו תוקפים אותו. זה נכון בכל מקום כשאנחנו נלחמים בציר הרשע. זה נכון ליהודה ושומרון, זה נכון לעזה, ללבנון, לתימן, לסוריה, וזה נכון גם לאיראן. אנחנו נלחמים בציר הרשע.
My direction, the United States military actively supported the defense of Israel, and we're still assessing the impact. But based on what we know now, the attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective. And this is testament to Israeli military capability and U.S. military. It's also a testament to intensive planning between the United States and Israel to anticipate and defend against the brazen attack we expected. Make no mistake, the United States is fully supportive of Israel.
Well, the Israeli Defense Force says around 180 ballistic missiles were fired from Iran towards Israel during this major wave of attacks. We know that emergency service alerts were sent out very quickly to people's mobile phones, telling them to get into their shelter and to remain there, as 3 or 4 major waves of attacks took place, with multiple messages coming up on people's phones informing them of the locations. The Israeli Defense Force says there were some impacts, including here in Tel Aviv, where we saw flashes of light as some of those missiles landed, and also large explosions ringing out across the city. But the latest information we have is that there were no Israeli casualties in all of this, and they are putting that down to the fact that around 10 million people across this country heeded that warning and remained in the shelter as this attack took place. We are also hearing from the United States that they worked closely with their Israeli counterparts to try and intercept as many of these missiles as they could. We understand 2 US warships took part, as well as fighter jets in the sky, intercepting them as they arrived. Right now, the big question remains around what will happen next. Certainly many of the signals that we are hearing out of the Israeli Defense Force is that some sort of response is coming. We have a statement which I can read to you just briefly, saying Iran's attack is a severe and dangerous escalation, according to the IDF, and there will be consequences. We will respond wherever, whenever, and however we choose, in accordance with the directive of the government of Israel. A clear sign there that Israel does plan to respond directly against Iran for this ballistic missile attack. And that, of course, then throws open the very concerning question around whether this causes a wider war right across West Asia. In Tel Aviv, Trent Murray, NDTV.
We also have Ghazali joining us from New Delhi for more on this. Ghazali, can you provide specific information as far as the number of missiles launched, damage, casualty and targeted locations within Israel are concerned, one? And how has the Israeli government and military responded? We believe that Israel's military has signaled it would retaliate, though it hasn't provided specific details of how or when it would respond. So if you can take us through the ongoing defensive operations that could be underway, and of course the casualty and the damage that has been caused as a result of this attack.
See, as per the number of missiles launched from Iran are concerned, it was around 181. That was the figure which was shared by different social media handles of Israel's foreign ministry. What kind of damage has been inflicted on Israel? So as per the US and Israel's statement, perhaps there was not maximum damage. There has been no casualty except one person in Jericho area of Israel, who was actually a Gaza resident, as per the Israeli ministry, that who was in Israel, and he perhaps felt the impact of those missiles which were launched towards Israel, and he was killed. Besides that, there were minor injuries to some people. The real assessment of the damage has not yet come out, because we know that how overnight this attack has happened, and there have been reports from Iranian side that perhaps they have hit a couple of air bases. One of the most critical air bases of Israel has been hit, but Israel denies so. Israel and US say that perhaps their air defense system managed to intercept maximum of those missiles which were launched from Iran. US also said that they also helped Israel in intercepting all these missiles which are coming from Iran. Now coming to the next part, that what would be the retaliation and why Israel has not responded yet. One, this particular attack by Iran has cleared a lot of, a confusion in the region. Perhaps one, that till yesterday, before the attack, most of the Western commentators or those Iran watchers or the Israel watchers were claiming that Hezbollah is at its weakest ebb, and Iran has lost most of its allies as part of the axis of resistance in the Middle East. But yesterday's attack showed that perhaps the public pressure in Iran has worked, and that is why Iran was forced to retaliate. Second, that the air defense system, though Israel claims that most of it was intercepted and no maximum damage was inflicted on Israel, the visuals clearly show that these missiles managed to get through these systems, or these systems didn't manage to sort of intercept most of the missiles, because it got overwhelmed with the number of missiles which are launched from Iran. Third, what will be the retaliation? The retaliation, it seems that it is very imminent now, because even before Iran had launched these missiles, by afternoon yesterday, US had already informed Israel that Iran is moving its missiles within the country, and there is very possibility that it will retaliate. Now, a couple of days ago, we heard Mr. Netanyahu saying, addressing Iranians, saying that perhaps very soon a regime change will happen, very soon Iranians will be free. So Israel had already made up its mind that it will retaliate against Iran and what it calls preemptive strike, that before somebody rises up to kill you, you hit them hard.
Okay.
So a big escalation is certainly sort of inevitable right now. And the second very important point, what Iran yesterday did by issuing a statement is that it has also warned regional players not to join hands with US and Israel. Now, those regional players, as multiple reports suggested, that perhaps Jordan has also managed to intercept those missiles which are crossing its airspace to enter into Israel.
Sure.
UAE, Saudi, they have all been very skeptical because in the past, Iran and its proxy allies have hit their oil fields as well. So that is a given case now that it is leading towards the bigger escalation.
Absolutely, Ghazali. Thanks very much for joining us with those details there. As Ghazali is pointing out, the Iron Dome perhaps significantly failed in intercepting those missiles as well. And almost inevitable now is a full-blown war as far as West Asia is concerned. Diplomatic efforts have clearly failed. But listen in to what External Affairs Minister S.J. Shankar had to say post the attack.
We regard October 7th as a terrorist attack. We understand that Israel had a need to respond. But we also believe that any response by any country has to take into account international humanitarian law, that it must be careful about any damage or any implications for civilian populations. And that given what has happened in Gaza, it is important to have some kind of international humanitarian effort out there.
And moving now to the other big headline, Radhika, Dera Sacha Sauda chief Gurmeet Ram Rahim has been given parole yet again. This is the 15th time since he was jailed that he's walking out of prison. Now remember, almost each time he's walked out of jail, it has coincided with crucial polls. Of course, that has sparked a lot of concerns. This has been a huge political flashpoint in Punjab and Haryana as well. He's somebody who enjoys great power and influence in both these states. But Radhika, this comes right ahead of the Haryana Assembly elections as well.
Absolutely. The timing is significant there, Vedant. In fact, Dera achieved their walks out of jail. Ram Rahim getting 20-day parole, second parole in 2 months and 15th parole, as you said, in 4 years. This comes ahead of Haryana polls. So therefore, absolutely crucial at this point. Congress, in fact, writing to poll panel, saying Ram Rahim may influence polls. So that's the fear as far as the Congress party is concerned. Also saying that BJP government giving parole ahead of polls. Ram Rahim should not be given parole at a crucial juncture like this. We have Gurpreet joining us on this story. Gurpreet, not the first time that his parole has coincided with polls. Despite objections and outrage, Ram Rahim once again being granted parole.
Very true, because we have seen this has become one of the major political issue, and this is not the first time it has become a major political issue. Earlier also we have seen whenever there is election in Haryana or nearby states, whether Rajasthan, Punjab and other Uttar Pradesh also, we have seen such type of relief is being given, and that was one of the core reasons why the opposition party, they were leveling serious allegation against the BJP party, saying that they are trying to influence the voters also, and they are trying to get a political mileage out of this relief which is being given to Gurmeet Ram Rahim repeatedly. Today we have seen again he has already been walked out of jail. We have seen there was a lot of issues which are being raised by the Congress party. They were saying he has a mass following within the state and he will definitely influence the voters. So despite raising all these things, we have seen the state government has already given and granted him parole, and today we have seen they had to follow all the directions which has been given by the state authorities, saying that he is eligible for getting 20 days parole. So let's see that how the things will be unfolded. But as of now, we have seen the Congress, they have raised a lot of issues before the Election Commission, and they had also requested the Election Commission at this point of time, this type of relief should not be given because it will definitely leave a huge impact on the voters, the way he has a mass following within within Haryana state. So as of now, it seems their points, the Congress points, were not properly considered, and finally he is able to get relief. So we have to wait and watch to find out what type of influence he is going to leave on the voters, and whether the parties will be able to get any political mileage out of this parole which has been given. We have already seen this is the second parole within a very short time, and that is the core concern of the opposition party they were raising at this point of time. As we know, Haryana polls are already underway, and it's the last leg of campaign which is going on. So that was one of the reasons why the Congress party, they had appealed before the Election Commission to consider all these valuable points before granting him any relief. But it seems that these points were not being considered, and finally he was able to make out his way to get 20 days parole. So we have to wait and watch to find out what type of impact he has left on the voters also, and whether any BJP party will be able to get any political mileage out of this. Back to studio.
Absolutely, and larger concerns certainly over what the Congress party has pointed out in terms of the sanctity of the election process, as far as the regions where he enjoys control are concerned. But listen in to what the election officer had to say on this.
राम रहीम जी जो हैं उनकी कंसल्टेशन, उनकी पैरोल के बारे में हमारे पास आया था, और जब पहली बार हमारे पास जो पत्राचार हुआ था तो हमने उसमें कुछ और फैक्ट्स थे जो एलिसिडेट करने के लिए वापस हमने चिट्ठी लिखी थी। तो उसका जवाब आने पर उसके बाद वो जो सारे फैक्ट्स और जो हमारे पास जवाब आया था उसको कंसीडर करते हुए हमने जो परामर्श हमारी तरफ से बनता था वो दे दिया है। साथ ही उन्होंने हमारे को कुछ ऐसी शर्तें लिखी थी कि जो पैरोल पे अगर हम उनको भेजते हैं तो कुछ शर्तें लागू होंगी। तो उसके अंदर कि जी ये किसी भी इलेक्शन रिलेटेड एक्टिविटी में शामिल नहीं होंगे, ये हरियाणा में एंट्री नहीं करेंगे और कोई पब्लिक स्पीच नहीं देंगे। तो साथ में हमने कहा कि भाई आप इन शर्तों का भी अनुपालन करना इंश्योर करें, और यदि कोई शर्त आप पैरोल देते हैं और यदि किसी शर्त की उल्लंघना होती है तो पैरोल कैंसिल की जाए।
And moving now, Radhika, to the big political flashpoint in Karnataka, the Central Investigating Agency tightening its nose around Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. This even as the CM's wife has offered to return plots linked to the alleged scam, but the Muda heat only growing on the Chief Minister.
Absolutely. In fact, the Enforcement Directorate summoning Chief Minister Siddaramaiah in the alleged Muda scam. Tomorrow, he will have to present himself before the agency tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be significant. This, as the anti-corruption body, the Lokayukta, has also begun investigation into the case. So politically, how it will play out is something we'll have to wait and watch out for in the state of Karnataka. But for more on this, we're joined by Pratibha. Pratibha, probe is picking up pace as far as this entire scam is concerned. Trouble certainly mounting for Karnataka. Chief Minister has now been summoned by ED. He will be questioned. His wife, of course, saying that he will return land, but that obviously won't stop the probe. So how is this going to politically play out, be it within the Congress camp or the BJP camp?
Well, certainly it is a setback for Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, but then the ED registering the case starts off with summoning the complainant now. So tomorrow will be pretty crucial, where the complainant would be summoned before the ED officials, where he would be presenting all the evidence. So when you look at the register of the case, it has been done under the money laundering case, the PMLA Act that it falls under. But the Congress financial transaction here to prove a money laundering case, that has been the defense strategy that has been adopted by the Congress there. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah's wife, who has also made an offer of restitution, has also been accepted by the Muda. How will this affect the investigation is also something that needs to be seen. However, legal experts have said that both of them are independent of each other and would have absolutely no legal bearing. The BJP has been, of course, claiming that this is an admission of mistake, which Siddaramaiah has vehemently denied, stating that it will only be a resignation that will amount to acceptance of mistake, and here there is absolutely no wrongdoing. All eyes are on how Siddaramaiah would be averting this investigation, or whether he would be cooperating with this and fighting it at all. Back to you.
Pratibha, thanks very much for joining us with the latest there. So, of course, the Muda heat only growing on Chief Minister Siddaramaiah. This, as he is defiant, he says he will not resign. But, of course, the BJP pushing for his resignation on moral grounds. But moving now, Radhika, to the other big headline from your city. Well, actor Govinda, who accidentally fired at himself, is still in hospital, though what I believe, Radhika, is that he's out of danger.
That's right. His condition is stable is what the doctors are telling us. In fact, he had suffered a bullet wound below his knee. This as his firearm went off accidentally. Very unfortunate incident, but the good news is that he is out of danger. He was, of course, yesterday scheduled to leave his Mumbai residence to catch a flight to Kolkata when his gun fell off, misfired, injuring the actor. We know for a fact that since yesterday we've been reporting on this. Film fraternity people from his party have been visiting the actor, wishing him speedy recovery, so that a whole host of activities there are going on outside the hospital since yesterday. So for more on this, we'll go to Anuj, who is outside Criticare Hospital in Juhu. Anuj, what is happening now? Of course, the doctors saying that, he is out of danger. But what's the health update and when do you think he will be discharged?
Actor and politician, former MP Govinda was declared out of danger yesterday morning. This accident took place at around 4:45 a.m. But then he was quickly shifted to this hospital, which is not too far away from his residence. Not more than 1.5 kilometers away. And then by 10 or 11 a.m. yesterday morning, he was declared out of danger, and the bullet was also taken out. By last night, we saw that the pictures of the 9mm revolver bullet were also resurfacing and across different social media platforms. But what we get to understand from the doctors and several other people who came here to the hospital from the film fraternity and his personal group of friends, they've told us that he's not only fit and fine, but he's also willing to get out of the hospital. Yesterday we heard his brother say that he wanted to get out of the hospital yesterday itself, but that could not happen considering that the injury is, although he is out of danger, but the injury is still quite severe. Now, thankfully, when the gun fell while he was cleaning it before leaving for the airport, when the gun fell, it did not, the bullet did not enter the bone. Otherwise, that would have been a real major concern and would have also led to some sort of fracture. But it only entered the flesh and stayed there, which was later taken out with the help of this specialist here in the Criticare Asia multi-specialist hospital doctors. But the actor is out of danger, and the bullet has been taken out of his flesh from the left part of his leg. But then he is still expected to be here in the hospital for at least next 24 to 48 hours. When you talk about the entire event, what also took people aback was the absurdity of the event, right? An actor checking his gun in the morning and then it falling off, shooting or hurting himself sounded like a pretty, very interesting story. But then when we talked to several police sources, they said that it was all about the kind of revolver that he was using. The revolver that actor Govinda has in his possession is an old school revolver, the lock system of which is slightly risky. This is the same gun which several security personnel and police officials also used back in the day, but then later they shifted to using pistol because it has a much more safer, lock system which kind of keeps it safe even if it gets a bit of jerk or even if it falls down. And the absence of that in a revolver makes the owner or the user more vulnerable to such kind of attacks, and that is basically what has happened yesterday. The preliminary report suggests that yesterday we saw in the afternoon at around 3 to 4 p.m. the police conducted their Panchnama at his residence, but a detailed report is yet to come out. But what we are also learning is that the police here in Juhu, the Juhu police is also associated with a ballistic expert to know more about this. But as of now, of course, only a report has been filed in this case because prima facie this is an accidental misfiring by a licensed revolver to the owner of the gun himself and not to someone else, which is why an FIR has not been lodged, but only a report has been lodged in this matter.
That's right. Thank you, Anuj, for getting us those details from outside the hospital. Vedant, as Anuj had been pointing out, what is interesting is to understand what were the circumstances leading up to this incident. Was that particular gun, defective? Is there any malfunction angle involved? Was safety protocols, followed by the actor, storage, rules followed by the actor? All this is a matter of investigation, which is why a report, as Anuj has said, has been filed. But the good news, of course, is that the actor is out of danger.
Absolutely. And now, Radhika, moving now to the other big headline, something that's relevant not just to Delhi but to Mumbai as well. The pollution season is right ahead of us. It's setting in already in parts of Delhi and Mumbai as we see, a thin layer of smog here in the national capital as well. Radhika, this as of course the government has finally swung into action, at least here in Delhi. But before I bring in Ishika, Radhika, quickly, what's the situation in Mumbai as far as the pollution levels are concerned?
You know, as of now, it is not as bad, but perhaps in the coming months is when we'll get to see how bad the situation will be, because, you know, it's the construction activity as well as automobile activity that usually leads to pollution levels peaking in the city of Mumbai, not as much as far as, you know, stubble burning is concerned, which is something that's prevalent in your part of the country. But Vedant, I believe we have Ishika joining us on the story. Ishika, over to you. Of course, you know, certain measures being taken in the form of flying squads. What does this mean, and how do you think this is going to curb pollution in the city? Is it going to be as effective?
Well, Radhika, you know, this has been a concern among the residents of the national capital, and that is why Supreme Court, while in fact hearing this case, it has in fact come down heavily on CAQM and had asked actually as to what was the accountability of CAQM and what were the directions that were passed, what was the impact on the ground. Now, after that, we are seeing that the CAQM in fact has deployed flying squads in the states of Punjab and Haryana to keep a check on the stubble burning cases. Now, in fact, in 16 districts of Punjab, these flying squads are in fact being deployed, and in fact in 10 districts of Haryana, these flying squads are deployed. Now, these will be deployed from, yesterday itself it was deployed to, in fact, 30th of November. Because, you know, during this time we see that the stubble burning cases are, on a rise, and which is in fact a major concern for the pollution here in the national capital. Now, in fact, if we talk right now about, the situation in the national capital, we've already seen, in fact, Radhika, how, the pollution, if we talk about, it is slowly turning poisonous. There are various, various places here in the national capital like RK Puram, Mundka, where in fact the AQI has crossed the 200 mark. And if we talk about Anand Vihar, the AQI has already crossed the 400 mark. So the air quality here is slowly turning poisonous. Now, amid this, certainly the question that people have is that after this, after this announcement by CAQM, will there be actually any impact on the ground, and will they finally be getting relief from the pollution that they in fact have to face and suffer every year? Over to you.
That's right, Ishika. In fact, experts have pointed out time and again that, these last-ditch efforts don't really bear fruit, given the fact that we need to target pollutions at the source level. These measures like the flying squad perhaps will not really reduce emissions. That's really the understanding as far as experts are concerned. So yet another year and a similar situation. But we'll slip into a short break now, Radhika, but do stay tuned here on NDTV, because we have a lot lined up on the other side. And also at 9 o'clock, India's longest running health campaign on TV, Banega Swasth India, with top stars, celebrities, activists, all on NDTV.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
And I swipe it there, pound rewards, मैं everywhere, कहीं से भी करूँ collect, spend करूँ direct.
Download any single ID partner app, link your card and earn reward with top brand.
Get it free with single ID.
For every news from every part of the country, download कीजिए NDTV ऐप. सिर्फ एक ऐप जो आपको बताता है क्या हो रहा है in the world of business, politics, sports and entertainment. देखना ना भूलें हमारी मूवी युद्रा in the theatre. Read all about Yudra on the NDTV app. So download now.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your life.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of power, Delhi,
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show. Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
And I swipe it there. Vance-Walz, मैं everywhere. कहीं से भी करूँ collect, spend करूँ direct.
Download any single ID partner app, link your card and earn reward with top brand.
Get it free with single ID. Tap it here and I swipe it there. Vance-Walz, मैं everywhere. कहीं से भी करूँ.
Welcome back. On to some positive real estate news from Maximum City. Vedant, Mumbai's real estate market showed remarkable growth in 2024, crossing 1 lakh property registrations by September. Fastest pace in a decade, Vedant. This represents a 12% year-on-year increase, indicating strong buyer sentiment despite high property prices and interest rates.
That's right. A significant portion of the market's activity, in fact, was driven by purchases of 2 to 3 BHK homes, especially in the mid to high price range, reflecting increasing demand for spacious and premium homes. Now, this sustained momentum in property transactions stems from the rising economic prosperity, perhaps, and growing preference for home ownership among Mumbai residents.
That's right. In fact, interestingly, Vedant, registration saw a slight dip in September due to a Pitru Paksha period deemed inauspicious for buying property. However, with the festive season round the corner, experts predict a rebound, expecting renewed interest and a rise in home sales through the end of the year. In fact, let's go to our guest who's joining us on this show to shed more light on this trend that is being witnessed in Mumbai and elsewhere as well. We have Malana Sasalu, who is the CEO of Provident Housing. Thank you, sir, for joining us on NDTV on this important discussion. My first question is, this is, of course, great news for real estate market. Mumbai property rates are unfathomable, is something that we all know, but not slowing down as far as demand is concerned. 12% increase in property registrations in this city in the first 9 months of 2024. Could you tell us what the factors are that have driven this huge surge?
Yeah, thank you very much, Radhika. Thank you, Vedant, for putting me on the line. And so, I believe that there are several factors that are contributing to this. Considering the first and foremost is the sentiments around the economy and sentiment around the jobs, job creation, and probably, also the need for people to announce that they've arrived. So if you really look at from 2020 to 2025, that we've surged from 270,000 HNIs to around 600,000 plus. So also the faith in the asset class, that the investment, right? So people are saying that, thinking that there are many ways that you can invest, many places that you can invest, and real estate has really now taken that front seat, in my opinion, that people are investing. And also it is the regulatory stuff that has come in, some of the things that are that change the industry in terms of bringing that faith back into the people, saying that putting the money into the real estate is a good investment. So those are the factors that are contributing to this continued growth.
That's right, and also, so there's a sense that this is not just about Mumbai. If you look at other real estate hubs of the country, particularly here in Gurugram, for example, there is an increased buyer confidence. Where do you see this stemming from? Because there has been an increase in registrations across real estate hubs. where is this buyer confidence coming from? Of course, there is more purchasing power for sure, but there is, a larger sort of a systemic shift as well that one sees.
Yeah, see, the working life and the living life is coming together. People tend to be, working from home, and the real estate, luxury real estate in particularly, that where we live in the place, and the houses are created beyond the amenities, the working spaces are created, and meeting places are created, and so these are the things that actually make the HNIs and others to look for this housing today. And in my opinion, that this trend should continue going forward.
Right, sir. And as we approach the festive season, what are your predictions like? Do you foresee a continued growth, or will there be, some sort of potential hurdles? How do you see the next few months? Because looks like the predictions are positive as far as real estate purchase across the country, not just in Mumbai, is concerned.
See, if you look at the luxury real estate, is growing at around 12 to 14% year over year. Not particularly in this year. And I think the trend would continue. Yes, we had a little bit of a slowdown in this month of September because of the Pitru Paksha. And I believe that there will be a rebound going forward in the festive season, and then up to probably the year end, that we will see that, the same trend continuing.
Absolutely. And so also, as more and more high-rises come up across real estate hubs in India, the challenges are, plenty as well, given the sense that maintenance is a big issue. Very often we see that there are various disputes between, say, builders and home buyers, and those don't get resolved as well. So, with this expansion of the real estate, those issues also need to be perhaps tackled or grappled with more effectively.
If you look at what was happening a decade back to what's happening now, it is much more organized. Now we are much more relying on the technology, and more problems are resolved, earlier than before. And in my opinion, that there will always be, when a community of people are living there, there will always be some issues. But in my opinion, that is much more mellowed down compared to what it was a decade back or so. And I think the infrastructure is improving in the country, and also that the whole idea of living in a community is becoming stronger today post-COVID. And I see that the trend will continue to be better, and I don't see that as a bigger challenge.
All right. Also, Mr. Sasalu, another question that I wanted to ask, very specific to Mumbai as well, because we were just going through this particular report. Interestingly, a lot of demand for high-value properties, especially over rupees 2 crore. So luxury properties are quite in demand. What seems to be the reason for this? Because preferences have changed, larger apartments. So how do you interpret this change going forward?
As I said, that the working life and the living life is coming together, which means that you're looking for larger apartment. And also that, as I said, the high net worth individuals, a number of them is increasing. And also it's about the sense of arrival, and that's showing the sentiments that people are looking at as the country is growing, and the economy is growing, and incomes are going high, and also the faith in the real estate asset with all the regulations. So I think that is what is stemming this kind of a growth.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Maulana Sasalu, for joining us on this important discussion. You're saying this growth is going to be positive henceforth, and it is the working life and of course your private life coming together, and there is of course income boost. So a lot of demand for luxury is something we're witnessing not just in Mumbai but across the country. Thank you for giving us a perspective on the real estate market as we speak. Let's move on now, Vedant, on our next big story, which is from Andhra Pradesh.
That's right. In fact, Andhra Pradesh Deputy Chief Minister will complete what he calls his 11-day penance. Now, this, of course, as the entire Laddu Rao continues to spiral as far as Tirupati is concerned. Let me go straight across to our senior colleague, Uma Sudhir, joining us live on The Breakfast Show. Ma'am, so, this penance, as the Deputy Chief Minister calls it, has larger significance as well. Decode these optics for us, this 11-day penance. He says he's seeking atonement. This is certainly a very emotive issue as far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned.
So Pawan Kalyan very clearly has positioned himself politically as the man who is going to be standing up for the Sanatana Dharma, and he has in fact arrived in Tirumala just a day after the Supreme Court wrapped the Andhra Pradesh government and in fact found fault with the Chief Minister making a statement on the adulteration of the cow ghee, even though the probe, the SIT probe had not been completed and no report had been given. And he has gone there, and subsequently he has also said that the Supreme Court has not in so many terms said that unadulterated ghee was used or that adulterated ghee was not used, and he says there are certain clarifications that need to be done. His Prashchita Diksha, of course, started on the 22nd of September, and after the 11 days, he is expected to have a darshan of Lord Balaji today and seek forgiveness, and in the evening, he is going to be having a public meeting at Tirupati. Of course, Tirumala is not where any political activity is allowed to happen. Yesterday, he arrived at Tirupati and then took the pedestrian pathway, which is the Srivari Metlu, up from Alipiri to Tirumala, and he has in fact spoken about not just the Laddu issue. He says it is not just about the Laddu issue, at that there have been several desecrations that have happened in the last 5 to 6 years, and he mentioned about 219 temples had been desecrated, and he specifically mentioned the Sri Rama temple statue that had been desecrated as well, and he says therefore that there have been multiple incidents, and the Laddu Rao was only a tipping point for him and for his government as well to take this up seriously. So one can expect declaration. That's what he has said at the end of the public meeting, and by tomorrow they are going to put forth whether it is the Janasena or the NDA government. That clarity is not there, but he says there will be a declaration that will talk about what their plan of action is going to be to take forward the Sanatan Dharma Parirakshana Samiti that he has proposed for Andhra Pradesh itself. Back to you.
Ma'am, thanks very much for joining us.
Right. Thank you, Uma, for getting us those details. Vedant, in fact, as Uma had been pointing out, Pawan Kalyan arriving at Tirupati and taking the pedestrian route to reach Tirumala last night. Of course, Supreme Court had earlier questioned our Chief Minister over his statement, saying that until investigations are complete, he shouldn't be making premature allegations. But despite that, this route being taken by the Deputy Chief Minister there in Andhra.
Absolutely. So the Prasad politics only sort of spiraling there in Andhra Pradesh. But looking at some business news now, Radhika, markets regulator, the SEBI, has now set to pass an order on the Hindenburg allegations, as of course Hindenburg has not yet responded despite SEBI issuing a show cause notice. So of course this is something that the Supreme Court has taken very, very seriously and is now set to issue an order.
Absolutely. In fact, the matter will be undergoing a thorough investigation seeking input from all relevant parties before an order is passed. In fact, the move comes after SEBI issued a show cause notice to Hindenburg Research LLC, Nathan Anderson, and entities of Mauritius-based foreign portfolio investor Mark Kingdon for trading violations.
There is this important update in the Hindenburg Research matter. Market regulator SEBI is progressing with its ongoing probe and the proceeding. What we are picking up from our SEBI officials is that the regulator is collating the data and even seeking response from the all parties involved, including the Hindenburg Research. However, Hindenburg has clearly stated to the regulator that they are not going to respond to show cause notice issued by the regulator in July. Remember, in July, SEBI has shot show cause notice to Hindenburg Research, Mark Kingdon, and 4 others for colluding for using non-public information to build short position against Adani Group of companies. That this whole report of Hindenburg has created panic among investors, which has also led to, wiping out the whole market value of about 12 trillion. So SEBI is of view that first they are going to sort of, have clear-cut evidence against all these entities, and accordingly they will reach to the finality and pass the order. And once the order has been passed, there are chances that the regulator will initiate the adjudication proceeding, and accordingly the matter will be heard and follow the due course, and the entities could be penalized.
All right, so market regulator SEBI is set to issue that important order there. But moving now, Radhika, India is marking Gandhi's 150th birth anniversary. It's Gandhi Jayanti today, and top leaders from across parties paid tribute to the father of the nation at Rajghat, from Prime Minister Modi to, of course, the President, also Rahul Gandhi and Delhi Chief Minister Atishi.
That's right. Leaders there paying respects to Bapu. India marks 10 years of Swachh Bharat mission. Prime Minister Modi's floral tribute to Mahatma Gandhi at Rajghat. Those are the visuals of the tributes there. President Draupadi Murmu visits Rajghat too, pays her tribute. A leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi also offering prayers. In fact, Delhi Chief Minister Atishi also paying respect to Mahatma Gandhi early this morning. Various events, Vedant, lined up to mark 10 years of Swachh Bharat mission across the country as well.
Absolutely. So those significant visuals coming there. And as you said, that it also marks 10 years of the Swachh Bharat mission, which has been described as the Prime Minister's most successful social schemes.
All right, let's move on now to Haryana, Vedant. The big names were out on the election trail in Haryana that goes to polls on the 5th. Prime Minister Modi, Arvind Kejriwal, Rahul Gandhi all addressed rallies to give that final push in the state. Prime Minister Modi alleging Congress wants to crush patriotism of the country, Vedant.
Absolutely, and remember, Haryana, of course, is a very crucial state both for the BJP and the Congress. The BJP is battling a 10-year incumbency. The Congress is looking to make a comeback, and the Aam Aadmi Party, interestingly, is looking at making inroads in Haryana, though it has, of course, performed extremely well when it comes to the Panchayat polls in Haryana, but relatively a new state. But many say that this is a direct contest between the BJP and the Congress. Here's a report.
The final push in the Haryana Dangal. Big guns across party lines wooing voters at roadshows and rallies. Haryana's poll pitch nearing a crescendo.
सारे बुजुर्गां ने, भाई बहना ने और नौजवान ने, मेरी औरतें, राम राम जी.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi led BJP's charge as the party tries to hold on to the state, addressing his last poll rally for this assembly election at Palwal.
ये चुनाव नया इतिहास बनाने का है.
In Palwal district, addressing for 9 assembly constituencies, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated that the promises that they have done for the people of Haryana, they will fulfill it in these elections as well. Bharatiya Janata Party is trying to garner the votes as far as mulling upon the possibility of having a hat-trick this time.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi faced off over caste and caste census.
बंद कमरों में कांग्रेस के नेता आप लोगों के लिए यही कहते हैं, कभी जात पात के नाम पर कहीं एक समाज को दूसरे से लड़ाकर कांग्रेस इस देश से देशभक्ति को ही चूर चूर करना चाहती है.
और हमारी शेरनियां भी दिख रही हैं यहां पे. भाई और बहनों, लड़ाई इसकी है. बीजेपी इसको खत्म करना चाहता है और दूसरी तरफ कांग्रेस पार्टी जो रिजर्वेशन को 50% से आगे बढ़ाने का काम करने जा रही है और जो जाति जनगणना का वायदा करी है और पूरा करेगी उस वायदे.
Rahul Gandhi raised the Save the Constitution and caste census pitch once again, holding up the Constitution. Wrestler Bajrang Punia was seen sharing the stage at Gohana. Former Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal did a roadshow in Faridabad. After leaving the Chief Minister's chair in Delhi, Kejriwal has gone full throttle in Haryana. It isn't an easy ride for either the BJP or the Congress in Haryana, with both parties battling in fighting. The question is, will Nayab Singh Saini buck anti-incumbency? With Aishwarya and Gurpreet Chinna, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Let's shift our focus to Kolkata now, Vedant. This is on Kolkata. Doctors resuming strike. Junior doctors in West Bengal demanding better security at state hospitals after the rape and murder of a colleague at a medical college in Kolkata have now resumed their total cease work.
That's right. In fact, they had called off their strike, but they have now returned to the streets. The suspension of work began at 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning. As the doctors alleged, there was no positive approach from the government to fulfill their demands for safety at work. Take a look at this report.
Junior doctors in West Bengal back on strike as they say their security demands have not been met by the state government despite their repeated assurances.
12 দিন পেরিয়ে গেলেও দৃশ্যমান কোনো পরিবর্তন আমরা দেখতে পাইনি। এমনকি সাগর দত্তের ঘটনা সম্পর্কে তিনি সুপ্রিম কোর্টে দাঁড়িয়েও মিথ্যাচার করে গেছেন। সমস্ত ঘটনার দায়ভার চাপিয়েছেন জুনিয়র ডাক্তারদের উপরে। আমরা এও মনে করি স্বাস্থ্য দপ্তরের অপদার্থতা বা সক্রিয় মদত ছাড়া এই প্রবল দুর্নীতি অসম্ভব।
The doctors came up with a list of 10 demands that includes setting up of a centralized referral system and a bed vacancy monitor, apart from the old demand of the removal of the health secretary who was present at the Supreme Court hearing.
But the irregularities which are noticed in the context of the RG Court.
On Monday, the top court rapped Bengal government for the tardiness in installing CCTVs and building toilets.
As a state government, have you taken any call on any disciplinary action against
we were told about 5 doctors. They have been suspended. Action have been taken. Rest, if CBI, as and when they tell us something specific against them or that they have been made accused, because investigation is very wide.
Also among the demands were elections in student councils, which the Supreme Court did not get into despite repeated appeals from the junior doctors' lawyers. The state government says that the work is already in progress.
আপনারা জানেন মাননীয় মুখ্যমন্ত্রী সব ডিস্ট্রিক্টের প্রিন্সিপালস এমএসবিপি হেলথ ডিপার্টমেন্টের অফিসিয়ালসদের সঙ্গে রিভিউ করেছিলেন। সব জায়গায় কাজ শুরু হয়েছে এবং কোথাও 30%, কোথাও 40, কোথাও 60, কোথাও 70 বিভিন্ন স্তরে কাজ হচ্ছে এবং একটা কাজ করতে গেলে কিছুটা সময় লাগে। আপনার সিসিটিভিও লাগাতে গেলে কিছুটা সময় লাগবে।
Meanwhile, after resuming their strike, the joint platform of doctors held a rally in Kolkata to protest a rape murder of a trainee medic at Arjikar Hospital from College Square in North Kolkata to Rabindra Sadan in the south.
A protest by junior doctors in the heart of Kolkata, marching from College Square to Rabindra Sadan, and of course reiterating some of their old demands while adding some new ones as they announced their cease work protest. The protest, the doctors say, will continue till their conditions are met, while the state government says work is already on to meet their demands. With camera person Aniruddha Tripathi in Kolkata, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
To some updates from Assam now. Assam government's a big move for students, Vedant. Class 12 pass-outs to get scooty. In fact, Assam government to give scooty to over 40,000 class 12 students. A big move there by the Assam cabinet there.
That's right. The Assam cabinet has approved over 300 crore rupees budget for the three-wheeler social scheme. In fact, the free scooties, as you said, will be given for 40,000 students in the state.
असम का जो एक अवार्ड था मेरिट अवार्ड बानीकांता कोटी मेरिट अवार्ड, वो हम लोगों ने जो गर्ल्स स्टूडेंट्स है जो 60% का अबव मार्क्स मिलता है हायर सेकेंडरी में, उसको हम स्कूटी देते थे और 75% एंड अबव मार्क्स का बॉय स्टूडेंट को भी स्कूटी देते थे। इस साल अराउंड मोर देन 48,000 स्टूडेंट को स्कूटी देने का अप्रूवल आज दिया गया है। इस स्कीम में असम गवर्नमेंट का अराउंड 345 करोड़ का खर्चा आएंगे।
Moving on now, 2 women naval officers are setting off to make history on the high seas, Vedant.
That's right. So, of course, this is something that is historic indeed because these are 2 women naval officers, a first in history. Take a look at this report.
Onto a journey that's as extraordinary as the women at its helm.
Lieutenant Commander Rupa A and Lieutenant Commander Dilna K of the Indian Navy are embarking on a groundbreaking sailing expedition. They are set off to make history on the high seas. Armed with idli batter, a collection of Coldplay albums, and the profound words of astronomer Carl Sagan, these intrepid officers are about to navigate an astonishing 40,000 kilometers, that's over 21,600 nautical miles, across the globe, all powered by the wind and their unyielding spirit. As they prepare to set sail under the second edition of the Navika Sagar Parikrama expedition, these trailblazers are ready to make history as the first duo from India to circumnavigate the globe in a double-handed mode. Lieutenant Commodore Rupa A from Puducherry, an aeronautical engineer, joined the Navy in 2017 and soon started sailing in small dinghy boats before shifting to competitive sailing for intra- and inter-command championships, while her colleague Dilna K from Calicut, a logistics officer, also took to sailing after joining the Navy back in 2014. As these women take on the vast, uncharted waters, they are proving that with courage and camaraderie, no dream is too big to sail towards. Parmeshwar Bava for NDTV World.
All right, that's all we have on this bulletin of Breakfast Show. We'll be back with more tomorrow at the same time, Vedant. Meanwhile, India's longest running health campaign on television now.
That's right, at 9 o'clock, only on NDTV, Banega Swasth India. Stay tuned.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always bustling. It's literally a city that never sleeps.
And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
For every news from every part of the country, download कीजिए NDTV ऐप। सिर्फ एक ऐप जो आपको बताता है क्या हो रहा है in the world of business, politics, sports and entertainment. देखना ना भूलें हमारी मूवी युद्रा in the theatre. Read all about Yudra on the NDTV app. So download now.
Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual. One day this lecture hall will be made of code. And driverless cars would be trapped in intersections. But even in this maze of the future, you can't wish away health. It's time to become more resilient. 10 years of Banega Swasth India, we have grown and achieved so many milestones. And now I have a plan to beat the urgency, to stop breathing with difficulty, to relieve getting choked with inactivity.
कम से कम 20 सेकंड तक साबुन और पानी से हाथ धोने चाहिए.
आमकां आमचे हात सगळ्या बाळांकडे धुवपाक जाय, फाटल्यान बी धुवपाक जाय आनी नाकटां बी साफ दवरूंक जाय.
சோப்பு போட்டு கைகளை கழுவிய பின் சுத்தமான துண்டு பயன்படுத்தி நன்றாக துடைக்கவும்.
खाने के पहले शौच के बाद सदा धोएं साबुन से हाथ. खांसना छींकना के भी जगह पर
छूण का बाद अपना हात साबुन धोया चेंद
असल प्रकारले हात धुने आदत राखौ आफूसँगै समाजका प्रत्येक सदस्यहरूलाई बिमारीबाट बचाउँ
खाइबा पूर्वरु पायखानारू आसिबा परे और जेतेबेले भी हाथ मैला हबो हाथ निश्चय धोंतु जो जैसे संक्रमण के खिलाफ सबसे अच्छा बचाव है बार-बार साबुन से हाथ धोना
साफ हाथ साफ तन तो साफ मन साफ है जो तन जो मन बढ़ता जाएगा वतन साफ हाथ साफ तन तो साफ मन साफ है जो तन जो मन बढ़ता जाएगा वतन चलते रहे करते रहे हम वतन की राह पूरी चलते रहे बढ़ते रहना है जरूरी साफ हाथ साफ तन तो साफ मन साफ है जो तन जो मन बढ़ता जाएगा वतन
नमस्ते और स्वागत है आपका बनेगा स्वस्थ इंडिया के इस 11वें साल की सेलिब्रेशन में। अच्छा, मैं एक एक्स्ट्रा एक्साइटेड इसलिए भी हूँ क्योंकि मेरा सेकेंड ईयर है ये, लेकिन इस साल ही एक साल में आई बिकम ऑल द मोर कमिटेड टुवर्ड्स दिस मिशन ऑफ हेल्दी होम्स दैट लीड टू अ हेल्दी सोसाइटी एंड अ हेल्दी नेशन। स्वस्थ भारत, ये 11 साल का सफर इट्स बीन नथिंग शॉर्ट ऑफ अमेजिंग। हमने हाइजीन, क्लेanलीनेस और स्वच्छता के कैंपेन को एक जन आंदोलन का रूप दिया है। एक या दो नहीं, 10 या 20 नहीं, सैकड़ों या हजारों नहीं, लाखों या करोड़ों नहीं, 1 बिलियन से भी ज्यादा लोग इसमें जुड़े। हमने शुरू किया स्कूलों से बाय आस्किंग किड्स टू डू द सिंपलेस्ट थिंग ऑल ऑफ अस शुड बी डूइंग, वॉशिंग आवर हैंड्स प्रॉपर्ली। और ये नंबर भी आपको चौंका देगा। 34 बिलियन ऐसे मौके आए व्हेन स्कूल गोइंग चिल्ड्रन वॉश देयर हैंड्स एंड आई मस्ट से प्राउडली दे डिड इट। फिल्मों में दिखाई जाने वाली हाथों की ताकत को छोड़िए, रियल लाइफ में दीज हैंड्स हैव द पावर टू कीप अस हेल्दी एंड जर्म फ्री। तो हम सबके हाथ सुपर हीरो हैं। डिड यू नो स्वच्छ भारत मिशन इन द लास्ट 10 years हैज मैनेज्ड टू मेक 10 crore टॉयलेट्स अक्रॉस इंडिया। वी आर वेरी क्लियर दैट दिस इज वन वर्ल्ड वन फैमिली। ये कोई 3 घंटे के अंदर खत्म हो जाने वाली फिल्म नहीं है, ये रियल लाइफ है। जैसे हैप्पी और हेल्दी बनाने की जिम्मेदारी हम पर है, बिल्कुल इस कैंपेन की तरह। आज जब 2 अक्टूबर है, उन महात्मा का जन्मदिन है जिनकी लर्निंग्स हम कभी नहीं भूल सकते। उन्होंने हमें एक ऐसी सोसाइटी बनने का विजन दिया जो सिंप्लिसिटी और सफाई के सहारे आगे बढ़ेगी, ना केवल शरीर से बल्कि मन से भी स्वस्थ रहेगी। अब जब उनकी दिखाई राह हमें आजकल की मॉडर्न बीमारियों से भी बचने का रास्ता दिखा रही है, तो आज हम दिन भर बात करेंगे अबाउट द वेल्थ ऑफ गुड हेल्थ, द भलाई इन सफाई एंड बीइंग मस्त बिकॉज वी ऑल बी स्वस्थ।
2014, a nation embarked on a journey to transform itself. Led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan launched with a bold vision, a clean, open defecation-free India.
पूज्य बापू ने हमें संदेश दिया था, क्विट इंडिया, क्लीन इंडिया.
NDTV and Dettol answered that call with Banega Swachh India.
Our purpose, the reason why we exist, is to protect, heal, and nurture in the relentless pursuit of a cleaner and healthier world.
This whole concept is all about embracing this, understanding the world is one. It's to me, it's not a slogan, it's a commitment to make a healthier, cleaner, safer world for the future.
The streets of India became charged with awareness as the Swachh bus went across India, spreading the message of hand wash and health. On World Hand Washing Day, 1.5 million children set a world record by washing their hands, understanding the importance of hygiene. Under the Banega Swachh India campaign, a total of rupees 281 crore was raised for building toilets and providing sanitation.
Final figure, I'm being told, is 281 crore rupees.
हमने शुरुआत की थी बनेगा स्वच्छ इंडिया से. स्वच्छ भारत के लक्ष्य के साथ हाइजीन पर हमने सबसे ज्यादा ध्यान दिया. कोविड-19 से काफी पहले हमने सही तरीके से हाथ धोने के तरीकों को लेकर देश भर में लोगों को जागरूक किया. देखिए, शिक्षा के बिना कुछ हासिल नहीं हो सकता. इसलिए सीजन 2 में हमने स्वच्छता की पाठशाला लगाई, हाइजीन का पाठ्यक्रम तैयार किया और पूरे देश के लोगों से हमने शपथ ली कि वो अपने आसपास की सफाई पर कुल 1.16 करोड़ घंटे वो लगाएं. तो तीसरे साल हमने स्वच्छ हवा, साफ हवा यानी स्वच्छ हवा पर ध्यान दिया. आने वाले समय में ये कई राज्य सरकारों की प्राथमिकता बनी.
We are moving also towards addressing the issues of climate change and making the schools more climate resilient.
I think for the future, if we are to live healthy lives, it's completely intertwined with the health of our environment. So we need to focus much more as individuals and as governments on protecting biodiversity, on protecting the various species.
India's first public health and hygiene podcast. Let's go see what this podcast is all about.
What am I doing? You're attacking the bacteria. Oh. अगर आप ये awareness create करना चाहते हैं, खास करके बच्चों के लिए, what better way? आपने अच्छी game बनाई है, and I think that really makes it fun.
We believe very strongly that improving the health infrastructure and improving the overall health of this country will go a long way in becoming the number 3 economy in 10 years. Maybe we should do it in 8 or 7. I think it will go a long way.
We've impacted 50 million lives, but we want to triple that ambition for next year. We want to impact many more lives, and we are in this fight for the long haul. In fact, until we can declare that everyone in society, globally and in India, has access to health and hygiene and wellness.
Cue. Start.
Namaste, welcome to a milestone moment, the 11th season of the Banega Swasth India campaign. This NDTV Detol initiative, launched in 2014, has grown into one of India's longest running and one of the most impactful public health campaigns. As we embark on this new season, we're not just looking ahead, we're celebrating a decade of transformation. Today marks the 10th anniversary of the Swachh Bharat mission, a revolutionary step towards a cleaner, healthier India.
15 अगस्त 2014, इस दिन की क्या खासियत है? लाल किले से हमारे प्रधानमंत्री ने एक नई शुरुआत की। पहली बार किसी प्रधानमंत्री ने सार्वजनिक रूप से, पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म से एक बात कही। उन्होंने कहा कि खुले में शौच करना बंद करना होगा, इसका संकल्प लेना होगा हर एक इंसान को, हर एक भारतीय को। और वो एक कोई मामूली घटना नहीं थी, क्योंकि उसके बाद एक जन आंदोलन की शुरुआत हुई, एक पब्लिक मूवमेंट की शुरुआत हुई, जन भागीदारी की बात हुई। और उसके बाद हमने क्या देखा? दूर दराज के गांव से लेकर भीड़ भाड़ वाली जगहों पर, सड़कों पर, जिलों में, गांव में, अंबिका, हर जगह एक नए भारत का रूप दिखने लगा। और वो नए भारत की रूप की शुरुआत उस तारीख को हुई थी।
G. Varya, a decade on, the impact is undeniable. Millions of toilets built, communities transformed, and a new culture of cleanliness taking root.
और हमारा जो सफ़र इतने साल से चल रहा है, वो अचीवमेंट से भरा हुआ था, उसकी सेलिब्रेशन की ज़रूरत है, लेकिन चैलेंजेस भी हैं, चुनौतियां भी हैं, और उन चुनौतियों पर हमें नज़र डालना होगा, क्योंकि स्वस्थ भारत एक लंबा रास्ता है। और इसीलिए आज हम सीजन 11 की जब शुरुआत कर रहे हैं, हम उसकी चर्चा करेंगे।
Absolutely. So join us this season as we explore these questions, showcase inspiring stories from across the country, and continue a collective march towards a healthier, cleaner future. Because together, we're not just witnesses to change, we are its architects.
और इसी आर्किटेक्ट्स को डिफाइन करने के लिए एक बहुत अहम आर्किटेक्ट हैं, जिनको मैं स्टेज पर अब इनवाइट करूंगी। गौरव जैन जी हैं, EVP रीजनल डायरेक्टर साउथ एशिया रैकेट, और संजय पुगलिया जी, एडिटर इन चीफ NDTV नेटवर्क। तालियों से उनके स्वागत करें। शुक्रिया हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए इस मंच पर, क्योंकि कहते हैं ना, जैसा अंबिका ने कहा, आर्किटेक्ट्स। सो ये हम लोग सब आर्किटेक्ट हैं इस नई शुरुआत के लिए। लेकिन उससे पहले प्रेसिडेंट द्रौपदी मुर्मू ने हमारे लिए कोई एक मैसेज भेजा है, उसको सुनते हैं।
नमस्कार, आज 2 अक्टूबर है, हमारे राष्ट्रपिता की जयंती। महात्मा गांधी को देशवासी स्वाधीनता दिलाने वाले बापू के रूप में तो नमन करते ही हैं, महात्मा गांधी को अस्वच्छता से लड़ाई के प्रेरणा के स्रोत के रूप में भी हम याद करते हैं। बापू ने स्वच्छता से स्वास्थ्य और सामुदायिक कल्याण का पाठ पढ़ाया था। 2 अक्टूबर 2014 को प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने स्वच्छ भारत अभियान की शुरुआत की थी। पिछले एक दशक में उस अभियान ने एक जन आंदोलन का रूप ले लिया है। इस अभियान का उद्देश्य है स्वच्छता के लिए लोगों की जीवन शैली में बदलाव और सबका अच्छा स्वास्थ्य। मुझे बताया गया है कि बनेगा स्वस्थ इंडिया कार्यक्रम इस उद्देश्य के साथ आगे बढ़ रहा है। इस कार्यक्रम के तहत पिछले एक दशक में कई कदम उठाए गए हैं। नए विचारों को मंच दिया गया है, नए प्रयोगों को प्रोत्साहित किया गया है। इससे लोगों के बर्ताव में बदलाव आ रहा है। स्वच्छता को जीवन का अभिन्न अंग बनाना ही इस कार्यक्रम का लक्ष्य है। स्वच्छता स्वास्थ्य का आधार है। 2011 से 2020 के बीच स्वच्छ भारत अभियान के कारण हर साल 60-70 हजार नवजात बच्चों की जान बचाई जा सकी है। इसके साथ ही शिशु मृत्यु दर में भी कमी आई है। नियमित रूप से हाथ धोने जैसे छोटी आदत से भी प्राण रक्षा हो सकती है। NDTV और अन्य समूहों के इस संयुक्त प्रयासों की मैं सराहना करती हूँ। इस प्रयास से हाथ की साफ सफाई के प्रति बच्चों में जानकारी बढ़ी है। इससे गर्भवती महिलाओं में भी सफाई के प्रति जागरूकता बढ़ी है। ऐसे हेल्थ वर्कर्स प्रशिक्षित किए गए हैं जो सरकार के जीरो डायरिया लक्ष्य को हासिल करने में मदद कर रही है। इन स्वास्थ्य सेनानियों के प्रयास के कारण अनेक बच्चों ने हाथ की साफ सफाई की आदत डाली है। हाथों को ठीक से धोकर साफ रखने में सबकी भलाई है। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
कि 10 साल तक ये कैंपेन जो आपने हेल्थ और हाइजीन के अराउंड खड़ा किया है, ऐसे कैंपेन मैंने अपनी पब्लिक लाइफ में बहुत कम देखे हैं जो इतना सस्टेन करे और कंपनी उसको इस तरीके से ऑब्सेशन और पैशन के साथ उस पर काम करे। व्हाट मोटिवेट्स रेकिट टू डू दिस?
Sanjay ji, before I answer that, I must say I'm filled with a huge amount of gratitude to be part of this campaign, to be leading it from a company or leading the company that leads this. So it's a matter of great pride. It's a matter of great pride for all our employees, for the company, that we are sitting here in the 11th season. And as you said, it's perhaps the longest running campaign of this kind. And I don't think we would have envisaged this or thought about this in 2014 when we started. So really thank you. A matter of great pride for us. I think coming back to your question, I think when we look at brands, when we look at careers, I think आपका career, आयुष्मान जी का career, brands आप देखें, successful brands, companies, उनके 3-4 there are 3 or 4 things that make long-term success happen. और वो हर चीज़ में similar ही है. So first of all, I think for us, it's the purpose. और जब हमने start किया था, our CEO at that time, Mr. Kapoor, he used to say that you have to do good, which means he said that आपको society के लिए कुछ करना पड़ेगा for the business to do good. That's how it started. And I think today our purpose is to protect, heal and nurture in the relentless pursuit of a healthier, cleaner world. I think that's what we do. अगर हमारी कंपनी ने ऊपर अपने ऑफिसेज में हर जगह पर्पस लिख दिया है कि आपका पर्पस है, तो हमारा सारा एम्प्लॉयज़ 30,000 एम्प्लॉयज़ जब वो आते हैं ऑफिस या सोते हैं जागते हैं वो यही करते हैं. तो इट इज़ एन ऑब्वियस थिंग कि हमारा यही काम है. द सेकेंड आई थिंक एंड मे बी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंटली इज़ द टीम. एंड आई थिंक विद पीपल लाइक यू सर, NDTV has been there. I think Ambika has been around for all the 11 years. Manika, Anusuya, I can talk about the whole team who's been there since the beginning of this campaign. My team, Ravi, I think he has 3 people. He's a 3-people army, and he's the most passionate person I have seen in my life who's led this, and nobody apt than him to lead this. And all our partners, so we have about 100 partners, and we can continue to name them. Sesame Street, ma'am is sitting here. Plan India, Jagran, huge amount of work from the government sector. There are UNICEF, UN agencies, all of them. So we all come together and we are all very like-minded in what these guys are experts. We provide a bit of guidance. And because this whole expertise comes together, it makes this stick. And we challenge each other, we push each other, and we make things happen. So I think that's the most important second thing. The third thing, I think, to be successful, you require expertise. अगर आपके पास talent नहीं है या expertise नहीं है, आप 1 साल 2 साल के बाद you will fail. And I think with us being a health and hygiene company, we do this. I mean, we think about germs, we think about disease for our brands. All our people think about it. Our sales people think about it. Our marketing people, our R&D people. This is what we do for a living. So, and all the partners bring their own expertise in terms of how do you enhance the effect of these campaigns to a large scale. Because India, if you do things on a small scale, it doesn't work. So all of the people that we have in the organizations that work, they help us to make initiatives and programs that make behavioral change happen on a large scale. And that's obviously very important. So expertise is the third thing. And I think the fourth and maybe the most important thing is results. अगर आपके पास for being successful over the long term, अगर आपके पहले साल या दूसरे साल के बाद results नहीं आएंगे, तो आप आप उसके आगे नहीं जाओगे. And I think the results we have seen, and I think we'll talk about a lot of them, and we have talked about it, from school absenteeism to diarrhea, malaria, reduction in malnutrition or stunting, wasting. We can continue to talk, and I think we'll talk about it. It keeps us going. That's our adrenaline. We see the change. We make more change happen. We see more of it, and we try to, scale the next peak as we go along. And I must say, in the morning, I met your videographer. Where is he? Manoj, and I just happened to meet him, and Ravi told me that he's been with us for the last 11 years in every campaign, and he's traveled to the mountains and the hills. And I just happened to meet him, and he said something that made my day. And he said, sir, आपका campaign मैंने इतना साल देखा है, और जब मैं गांव में जाता हूं, जब लोग बात करते हैं और जब मैं चेंज देखता हूं, तो मुझे खुशी होती है. And I think hearing it from somebody like that just made me feel amazing, because it's like a testament to what is happening. And I'm not saying it, he said it, and I've told Ravi, this is our reward. Yes. And the guy who's been with us, and he said it himself. So I think to me, these are the 4 or 5 things that, and we are here for the long haul. We are here till India is completely healthy, and we will continue.
तो आपने जो मकसद की बात कही, उससे ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट बात, और जिसके लिए मैं शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहूँगा कि आपने अपनी टीम और एनडीटीवी की टीम दोनों को जिस तरीके से अभी रिकॉग्नाइज़ किया टीम वर्क को, उस पर मुझे एक ही बात कहनी है अंबिका, वो ये कि अगर टीम वर्क, मकसद के अलावा टीम वर्क क्या कर सकता है, इस पर कोई केस स्टडी करनी हो तो हमारा ये प्रोजेक्ट स्टडी करना चाहिए.
जी, एब्सोल्युटली. इनफैक्ट आई थिंक पैशन एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है, विच यू राइटली सेड गौरव, एंड ऑफ कोर्स एक्सपर्टीज, वो सब साथ आता है. बट सिंस यू हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट द इम्पैक्ट, एंड वी आर गोइंग टू बी शोइंग दैट थ्रू द नेक्स्ट 4 hours, द रियल मेजर ऑफ दीज नंबर्स, 8.5 lakh schools, 24 million children. The real measure is the voices of those who have been impacted, like Gaurav just said. So let's take a look at what all these people have to say.
हमारे विद्यालय में डिटॉल बनेगा स्वस्थ इंडिया कार्यक्रम के तहत बच्चों में स्वच्छता को लेकर काफ़ी बदलाव आए हैं, आदतों को लेकर काफ़ी बदलाव आए हैं.
इस प्रोग्राम के अंतर्गत टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग, विद्यालयों में हाइजीन कॉर्नर का निर्माण और विभिन्न शिक्षण सामग्री और पोस्टर्स के द्वारा बच्चों को हाइजीन के महत्व के बारे में बताया जाता है.
This is a well done program for being very healthy and staying strong. From the childhood itself, the children know the techniques of hand washing.
எங்க குழந்தைகளுக்கு அவங்க என்ன செய்கிறாங்கன்னா, அதாவது கழிவறை பயன்படுத்திய பிறகு சோப்பு போட்டு கையை கழுவ என்று சொல்ற ஒரு நிகழ்வும், அதே பிறகு சாப்பிடுறதுக்கு முன்னாடி சோப்பு போட்டு கையை கழுவிட்டு சாப்பிடணும். இந்த நிகழ்வு எங்க பள்ளியில தொடர்ந்து 2 ஆண்டுகளாக செயல்பட்டு வருது.
वर्तमान डीबीएससी टीम द्वारा प्रदत्त टीचर करिकुलम मैनुअल एवं अन्य किट माध्यम रे पिलाମାନଙ୍କୁ स्वच्छतार पाठ पढ़ाउछु,
क्योंकि स्वच्छ रहेगा इंडिया तो ही स्वस्थ बनेगा इंडिया.
अब हमारे साथ मिनिस्टर ऑफ स्टेट ऑफ हेल्थ एंड फैमिली अफेयर्स अनुप्रिया पटेल जुड़ गई हैं. प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने पूरे देश को स्वच्छ बनाने की जोरदार शुरुआत की थी, और आज उस पहल ने 10 साल पूरे कर लिए हैं. ये काम मिशन मोड में जागरूकता अभियानों और हर स्तर पर कोशिशों के साथ किया गया है. सरकार स्वच्छता मिशन की अपनी सफलता को कैसे देखती है अनुप्रिया जी?
देखिए, ये सच है कि स्वच्छता अभियान की शुरुआत आज से 10 साल पहले प्रधानमंत्री जी के आह्वान पर हुई, और इससे पहले कभी किसी सरकार ने देश के कोने कोने की स्वच्छता पर इस कदर ध्यान नहीं दिया जैसा प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार ने दिया. और मैं समझती हूँ कि 10 साल के बाद अगर हम अपने प्रयासों का आकलन करें तो ये काफ़ी हद तक सफल होते हुए प्रतीत होते हैं, क्योंकि आज देश के अंदर अगर आप सैनिटेशन कवरेज की बात करें तो देश में सैनिटेशन कवरेज काफ़ी हद तक बढ़ा है, और लाखों करोड़ों की संख्या में शौचालयों का निर्माण हुआ है. ख़ास तौर से रूरल एरियाज़ में जो लोगों के पास स्वच्छता की फैसिलिटीज़ की एक्सेस नहीं होती थी, वो आज हो चुकी है. और सबसे बड़ी बात कि भारत के जो प्रयास रहे हैं स्वच्छता को लेकर, आज उसको ग्लोबल रिकग्निशन है. यानी दुनिया सराहना कर रही है कि भारत ने हाइजीन को लेकर, सैनिटेशन को लेकर, क्लीनिनेस को लेकर बहुत बेहतरीन प्रयास किया है.
अनुप्रिया जी, आपने जन भागीदारी की बात
अभी
की.
आपने
और जी, आपने जन भागीदारी की बात की मैम. हेल्थ और हाइजीन हमारे भविष्य की नींव है। एक नए इंडिया की शुरुआत उसी से हो सकती है, लेकिन उसके लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है व्यवहार चेंज या बिहेवियरल चेंज। आप कैसे देखती हैं कि आगे का सफ़र कैसा होगा?
देखिए, अभी आपने ODF गाँव की बात की, तो आगे की जब हम बात करें तो मुझे लगता है कि अभी तक जो प्रयास हमने किए उसे कंसोलिडेट करने की ज़रूरत है और उन सारे प्रयासों में एक कंटिन्यूटी बनी रहनी चाहिए। यानी कि अगर देश में हमने लाखों की संख्या में गाँव को ODF घोषित किया है, तो अब ये खुले में शौच मुक्त गाँव जो हैं, इनका ये स्टेटस जो है ये बरकरार रहना चाहिए। इसके लिए ज़रूरी है कि कम्युनिटी पार्टिसिपेशन को हम बनाए रखें। इसके साथ ही मैं समझती हूँ कि सैनिटेशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो है उसमें इन्वेस्टमेंट हमने बढ़ाया भी है और भी ज़्यादा अगर हम इन्वेस्टमेंट सैनिटेशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में बढ़ाएं तो ये काफ़ी हद तक हमारे अभी तक की जो उपलब्धियां हैं या अभी तक जो भी हमने प्राप्त किया है, जो हमारे अकम्प्लिशमेंट्स हैं, उसको कंसोलिडेट करने में ही नहीं बल्कि उसको आगे बढ़ाने में भी काफ़ी हद तक ये हेल्पफुल रहेगा।
जी बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने। 2030 में जो 11 साल का भारत ने को एक लिमिटेशन था वो पूरा करना था, लेकिन इंडिया ने सैनिटेशन और हाइजीन को सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल को 6.2 को पहले ही पूरा कर दिया। स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय का अपना रोड मैप आगे क्या होगा?
देखिए, हेल्थ और हाइजीन ये इनसेपरेबल है। यानी हाइजीन, सैनिटेशन, क्लीनिनेस के बिना हम बेहतर हेल्थ आउटकम्स की कल्पना नहीं कर सकते और इसलिए हमारे मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हेल्थ एंड फैमिली वेलफेयर ने भी इस एस्पेक्ट पर बहुत ध्यान दिया है। प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जब 10 साल पहले इस अभियान की शुरुआत की थी तब उन्होंने कहा था कि हमारे जो भी पब्लिक प्लेसेस हैं, जो भी सार्वजनिक स्थल हैं जिसमें हमारे पब्लिक हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज़ भी आते हैं, वहाँ पर साफ सफाई, स्वच्छता उच्च दर्जे की होनी चाहिए। और पब्लिक हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज़ का इस दृष्टि से हम मानते हैं कि सबसे पहला जो उनका सिद्धांत होना चाहिए, जो फंडामेंटल प्रिंसिपल होना चाहिए, वो यही होना चाहिए, डू नो हार्म। यानी कि आपको इन्फेक्शन कंट्रोल पे आपको बहुत ध्यान देना है। तो उस दृष्टि से हेल्थ मंत्रालय ने इन्फेक्शन प्रिवेंशन और कंट्रोल की प्रैक्टिसेस जो हैं उस पर बहुत ध्यान दिया है। देश में हमने इन्फेक्शन प्रिवेंशन और कंट्रोल प्रैक्टिसेस को स्ट्रेंथन भी किया है और आपको जानकर खुशी होगी कि हमने हमारे हेल्थ वर्कर्स की ट्रेनिंग के लिए एक स्टैंडर्डाइज करिकुलम तैयार किया है, इन्फेक्शन प्रिवेंशन एंड कंट्रोल करिकुलम जो है, जिसके ज़रिए हम हेल्थ वर्कर्स की ट्रेनिंग्स को स्टैंडर्डाइज कर रहे हैं। तो उनके अंदर एक जागरूकता आ रही है, हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज़ को कैसे साफ सुथरा रखना है, इसको लेकर अब भारत पहले से कहीं ज़्यादा जागरूक है। और सबसे बड़ी बात कि हमने इसके लिए एक इंसेंटिव प्रोग्राम शुरू किया है। यानी हम कई साल पहले से, जब से हमारी सरकार आई तब से हमने कायाकल्प नाम से एक इनिशिएटिव की शुरुआत की, जिसके तहत देश भर में हर स्तर की जो पब्लिक फैसिलिटीज़ हैं उनको हम रिवॉर्ड करते हैं अगर वो हाई स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ हाइजीन एंड सैनिटेशन को मेंटेन करते हैं। दूसरी बात ये है कि हमारी कोशिश है कि जो हमारे सैनिटेशन और हेल्थ प्रोग्राम्स हैं उनका इंटीग्रेशन हो। इसका एक उदाहरण आप देखेंगे, जो अभी हमने कुछ समय पहले जुलाई के महीने में हमारा नेशनल डायरिया वीक, नेशनल डायरिया स्टॉप डायरिया कैंपेन शुरू किया। उस कैंपेन के ज़रिए अगर हम देखें तो हमारी जो उसकी टैगलाइन थी इस बार की, वो यही थी कि डायरिया की रोकथाम और सफाई और ORS से रखें अपना ध्यान। यानी साफ सफाई का, हाइजीन का, सैनिटेशन का डायरिया की रोकथाम में कितना बड़ा योगदान हो सकता है, इसको हमने व्यापक स्तर पे प्रचारित किया।
प्रिया जी, आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे शो लॉन्च पर आने के लिए।
Well, let's move ahead. We are now being joined by the CEO of Reckitt, Mr. Chris Litt. Welcome to the launch of Season 11 of the NDTV Detol Banega Swasth India. You must be very proud of what it has achieved. Tell us what makes the Banega Swasth India campaign unique and special compared to other public health initiatives in India.
At Reckitt, we are immensely proud of the fact that Banega Swasth India is one of the longest running health campaigns, going strong for over a decade. It's been a brilliant partnership between our most trusted health and hygiene brand, Detol, in partnership with one of the most trusted news channels, NDTV. Together, over the years, we have achieved a huge number of successes, and I hope you are all as proud as we are at Reckitt that these will make meaningful impact in the lives of people right across India. Overall, school absenteeism has been reduced by nearly 40%. Children are reporting feeling happier, healthier, and more confident. Dethol Banika Swasth India scored 93.6% on the Student Happiness Index, and we all know that they can be a hard audience to please. 93% of teachers confirmed the Dethol hygiene curriculum was accessible, even for kids with slower learning outcomes, which is fundamental to the idea that no one is left behind. The thing we are most proud of, from our starting point of 1,500 schools, is that we're now reaching more than 1 million. That's incredible. But what I think really sets Banika Swasth India apart is our emphasis on public participation. We have taken hygiene education to millions of children across the country, and we know those children take that knowledge back to their homes, their families, and their communities, further spreading the reach of these important messages. Our recent transition to focus on a healthier India meant this campaign embraced a broader and more holistic vision: one health, one planet, one future, focused on one world hygiene. It was the right thing to do and will continue to evolve as the needs of the people we serve change. The campaign has received recognition and awards from 2 presidents of India, and we are enormously grateful for the ongoing support of the Indian government. Many of you here today have been part of this campaign for years, and we also send our thanks to the Dalai Lama, Nobel laureates, Oscar winners, and vice presidents, ministers, celebrities, teachers, and parents and other leaders who have lent us your time, support, and your expertise. We could not have done this without you, and the success of this program is all of ours to share.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Litton. You have been talking about the impact and most importantly, what you said about the children. So please stay with us. We are going to come back to you a little later this morning. और अब चल रहे हैं हम उन पहले स्कूलों में से एक की तरफ जहां 2016 में बनेगा स्वस्थ इंडिया का हाइजीन करिकुलम की शुरुआत हुई थी। मेरे सहयोगी शुभांग सिंह ठाकुर हमारे साथ वाराणसी ज़िले के सिहरवा गांव के प्राइमरी स्कूल से लाइव जुड़ रहे हैं। Over to you, Shubhang. Please take us to what is happening there.
बिल्कुल, देखिए इस वक्त मैं वाराणसी के उस एक स्कूल में मौजूद हूँ जहाँ पर इस कैंपेन की शुरुआत हुई थी। अगर मैं इस वक्त आपको तस्वीर दिखाऊं तो देखिए आज 2 अक्टूबर है और इस अवसर पर, गांधी जयंती के अवसर पर बच्चों ने खुद एक रंगोली यहाँ पर बनाई है। लेकिन मैं ज़्यादा समय नहीं बिताऊंगा और मैं सीधा आपको ले चलूँगा उन्हीं बच्चों के पास जो यहाँ पर इस वक्त मौजूद हैं। दरअसल ये जो स्कूल है ये एक प्राइमरी स्कूल है, तो यानी कि कक्षा 1 से 5वीं तक के बच्चे यहाँ पढ़ते हैं। लेकिन जो यहाँ पर अध्यापक ने मुझे बताया कि जो बच्चे यहाँ से निकल के जाते हैं वो बार बार वापस आ जाते हैं। तो मैं सबसे पहले आपको उस बच्चे से मिलवाता हूँ। आपका नाम?
योगिता सिंह।
योगिता जी, ये बताइए कि अभी आप कौन सी कक्षा में?
6।
तो ये बताइए कि आपने यहाँ पर क्या सीखा, किस तरीके से आप उसको इस्तेमाल करती हैं?
मैंने यहाँ पे स्वच्छता के बारे में बहुत कुछ सीखा है और मैं जो यहाँ पर सीखती हूँ, मैं अपने स्कूल में जहाँ पे मैं यहाँ से गई हूँ 6th क्लास में, वहाँ के बच्चों को भी बताती हूँ, अपने घर के सदस्यों को भी बताती हूँ।
ठीक है, आपका नाम?
मेरा नाम आस्था पटेल है।
आस्था, ये बताइए आपको स्पोर्ट्स खेलती है? कोई भी गेम?
हाँ।
क्या खेलती है?
कबड्डी, खो खो इत्यादि।
अरे वाह। तो जब आप खो खो खेलती हैं तो वो मिट्टी का खेल है, उसके बाद आप क्या करती हैं?
हम लोग टीम बनाकर खेलते हैं और हाथ धुलते हैं।
तो यानी कि आप गेम खेलने के बाद हाथ धोती है?
हाँ।
और ये सीखा है आपने कहाँ पर है?
हमने अपने गुरुजनों से, शिक्षकों से इत्यादि से सीखा है।
बहुत ही शानदार। आपका क्या नाम है?
मेरा नाम अंकित सिंह है।
अंकित, आप बताइए कि जब आप इस स्कूल से निकले, आप कौन सी कक्षा में फिलहाल?
5।
आप 5th में हैं, आप पढ़ रहे हैं यहाँ पर, तो आपको क्या सीखने को मिलता है यहाँ पे?
मुझे यहाँ से सीखने को मिलता है कि खाना खाने के पहले और शौच के बाद डिटॉल साबुन से हाथ धुलना चाहिए। और घर पे भी बताता हूँ माता पिता और जो मेरे भाई बहन हैं कि खाना खाने के पहले और शौच के बाद हाथ धुले।
चलिए, बहुत ही अच्छी बात है। आपका क्या नाम है?
दीक्षा।
दीक्षा, आप कौन सी क्लास में?
7।
7th में है, तो आप यहाँ से पास आउट हो चुकी है, 5th आपने पूरी करी है।
यस।
जिस आप नए स्कूल में गए हैं वहाँ पर आप क्या करती हैं?
वहाँ पर सभी बच्चों और शिक्षकों को बताते हैं कि हाथ साबुन से धोएं और खाने के पहले हाथ धोएं, खाने के बाद, शौच के बाद हाथ धोएं, खेलने के बाद हाथ धोएं।
बहुत ही अच्छी बात है। अपने हाथ दिखा दीजिए इसी बात पर एक बार। क्या बात है, बहुत ही अच्छी बात है। आपका नाम?
मेरा नाम नितिन वर्मा है।
नितिन, आप बताइए कि आपने क्या सीखा है स्कूल में?
मैं इस स्कूल में सीखा हूँ कि हमें अपने मतलब घर के आसपास की स्वच्छता मतलब सफाई रोज करनी चाहिए।
चलिए, बहुत अच्छी बात है। छोटी उम्र में आप लोग ये सब सीख रहे हैं। आपका क्या नाम है?
अंश वर्मा।
आप कौन सी कक्षा में?
6
में हैं आप भी चले गए यहाँ से, तो आपने यहाँ पे क्या सीखा था?
हमें यहाँ सीखा था कि शौच के बाद हाथ धोना चाहिए और सबको कहना चाहिए कि बाहर नहीं शौचालय में शौच करना चाहिए।
जी, आपका नाम?
आर्यन।
आर्यन, आप बताइए।
मैं यहाँ पे यह सीखा था कि खुले में शौच नहीं करना चाहिए। अगर से हम खुले में शौच करेंगे उसमें मक्खियाँ बैठेंगी, वो मक्खियाँ बैठकर हमारे आकर खाना बैठेंगी, हम उसको खाएंगे तो हमारे पेट में अनेक प्रकार की बीमारियाँ होंगी।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल होगी, और इसीलिए कहते हैं कि जब भी आप खाना खाते हैं तो उससे पहले अपने हाथ धोते हैं। आपका क्या नाम है?
अंशिका पाल।
अंशिका, आप कौन सी कक्षा में?
6
में है। आप भी यहाँ से पढ़ के गई हैं। अब आपका जो नया स्कूल है और यहाँ में आपको कुछ फर्क दिखाई देता है?
हाँ,
क्या बताइए।
यहाँ पर हम रहते तो सारे बच्चों को बताते थे कि हाथ धुल के खाना खाना चाहिए, खेलने के बाद हाथ धुलना चाहिए, पढ़ने के पहले हाथ धुलना चाहिए। और जब हम लोग।
आपका क्या नाम है?
खुशी पटेल।
खुशी, और आपको क्या लगता है कि यहाँ पे स्कूल में आपने अच्छा कुछ सीखा है?
हमने यहाँ पर बहुत कुछ सीखा है। हमारे यहाँ का स्कूल बहुत अच्छा है।
तो देखिए, साफ तौर पर जो बच्चे यहाँ पर हैं उनसे हमारी बात हो रही है, और देखिए स्कूल जो है वो पूरा हरियाली है। ये गांव के बीचों बीच है, लेकिन आप कह नहीं सकते कि ये किसी गांव में मौजूद है। लगातार बच्चों से बात कर रहे हैं, उनका ये कहना है कि छोटी सी उम्र में ये बच्चे समझ रहे हैं कि जो साफ सफाई है वो कितनी अहम है। स्वास्थ्य बच्चों का अच्छा बना रहता है, बच्चे देश का भविष्य है, तो जाहिर तौर पर जब उनका स्वास्थ्य अच्छा रहेगा उसी के बाद वो तरक्की भी कर पाएंगे। जी,
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद शुभम. Well, that is the power of educating children about critical subjects from the very beginning. Their enthusiasm and commitment to promoting health and cleanliness are definitely paving the way for a brighter, healthier future. To talk more about the kind of impact that the NDTV Detol Banega Swasth India program has achieved on the ground amongst communities, we are now joined by Dr. Sunil Mehra, Executive Director, Mamta HMIC, Ms. Meena Rathore, she's the Principal of Primary School, Hazipur, Noida, Mohini Ulke, Community Health Worker, Malegaon, Washim, Maharashtra, and of course, we still have with us Mr. Gaurav Jain.
मीना जी, मेरा सवाल आपसे है कि 2017 में हमने देखा है कि बहुत असर पड़ा वाराणसी में। आपने भी करिकुलम इंट्रोड्यूस किया था नोएडा में। हाँ, उसका क्या प्रभाव पड़ा था बच्चों पर? बहुत अच्छा प्रभाव पड़ा है। पहले तो मैं थोड़ा सा अपने स्कूल के बारे में बताना चाहूँगी। मैं प्राइमरी स्कूल हाजीपुर सेक्टर 104 नोएडा से हूँ। हमारे यहाँ एनरोल करीब 210 बच्चे हैं, लेकिन जब से 2016 से हमारे यहाँ प्रोग्राम शुरू हुआ है तो उससे इतना अच्छा इम्पैक्ट पड़ा है। डिटॉल टीम जो है उन्होंने हमारे साथ इतना अच्छा काम किया, बहुत सारे चीज़ें उनको दी हैं, वर्कबुक्स हैं, कुछ गेम्स दिए गए हैं। गेम्स के बारे में थोड़ा सा ये बताना चाहूँगी। गेम्स इस तरह के बहुत बच्चों को हाइजीन के बारे में समझाना इतना ईजी है। बहुत छोटा सा एग्जाम्पल मैं देती हूँ। स्पार्कल्स वगैरह जो आते हैं बच्चों के हाथ पर लगाया, बच्चों को हम उससे इतना ईजीली सिखाते हैं कि कैसे जर्म्स एक हाथ से दूसरे हाथ में ट्रांसफ़र करते हैं। उसके लिए हम गेम्स कराते हैं बच्चों के लिए। तो जैसे एक बच्चे ने अगर उसको लगा लिया है हाथ पर और दूसरे बच्चे से अगर वो शेक हैंड कर रहा है या कहीं जा रहा है या खेल रहा है तो वहाँ पे हाथ टच कर रहा है, तो इजीली हम बच्चों को ये समझा सकते हैं किस तरह से जर्म्स एक दूसरे से दूसरी जगह पर ट्रांसफ़र हो जा रहे हैं। इसके अलावा हमारे स्कूल में हाइजीन ओलंपियाड भी प्रोग्राम लास्ट ईयर हुआ था। तो ये सारी चीज़ें बहुत अच्छा करते करते बच्चे इतने अच्छे लेवल पर जाकर के पहुंच गए हैं, तो उनको ये लगता है कि मतलब अगर बच्चे घर से बाहर खेलने के लिए जा रहे हैं, मम्मी पापा को लगता है ये बाहर जाएगा, मिट्टी में खेलेगा, कुछ जम्प्स लेकर के आएगा, फिर बीमार पड़ेगा, लेकिन अब वो टेंशन फ्री हो गए क्योंकि बच्चा हैंड वॉश की जो प्रोसेस है उसको बहुत अच्छे से सीख गया है। इवन 5 to 6 ईयर्स के बच्चे भी इस चीज़ को बहुत अच्छे से समझ पा रहे हैं कि कैसे कैसे हैंड वॉश करना है, कैसे हमें हाइजीन से बच करके अपने आप को सुरक्षित रखना है। क्योंकि जब हम अपने आप को साफ़ सुथरा रखेंगे तो हम अच्छे से पढ़ाई कर पाएंगे, डेली स्कूल आ पाएंगे। मम्मी हमको मना नहीं करेगी आपको बाहर खेलने के लिए नहीं जाना है, दूसरे बच्चों के साथ नहीं खेलना है। बच्चे अच्छे से समझ पा रहे हैं कि अगर मैंने डॉग को टच किया है तो हैंड वॉश करना है, खाने से पहले हाथ धोना है, खाने के बाद हाथ धोना है। अगर वो टॉयलेट यूज़ करे तो टॉयलेट के बाद मस्ट है उसको हैंड वॉश करना ही करना है। तो इन सबसे ये हमको सबसे बड़ा फ़ायदा हुआ है, बच्चों की जो अटेंडेंस है वो रेगुलर हो गई है। जी,
क्योंकि पहले क्या था, बच्चे बीमार रहते थे, स्कूल नहीं आ पाते थे, उनसे मेंटल हेल्थ भी बहुत अच्छी हो गई है, वो अब अच्छा सीख पा रहे हैं। इसके साथ साथ अपने कम्युनिटी को भी एक अच्छा मैसेज दे रहे हैं। वो अपने घर में छोटे भाई बहन हैं, मम्मी पापा हैं, इवन नेबर्स को भी जा करके बताते कि नहीं मैं आंटी ये नहीं करना है।
सो वो इम्पैक्ट जो देखा गया है, गौरव, संजय जी, आयुष्मान, आई थिंक जो इम्पैक्ट देखा गया, दैट्स द बिग थिंग। अटेंडेंस एक बहुत बड़ी चीज़ है, एंड वी डोंट रियलाइज कि हाउ इट क्लियरली इम्पैक्ट्स मेंटल हेल्थ, बिकॉज फिर वो बच्चे जो स्कूल में मिस करते हैं, यू नो, दे आर नॉट मिसिंग दैट एनी मोर। सो दैट्स आई थिंक द इम्पैक्ट, गौरव, व्हाट यू वर टॉकिंग अबाउट इनिशियली। डॉक्टर मेहरा, इफ आई कैन, आई जस्ट कम बैक टू डॉक्टर मेहरा, इफ आई कैन जस्ट कम टू हियर, यू स्टार्टेड एन इनिशिएटिव वे बैक 1990